I stepping out of my crappy straw hut like some discount medieval peasant, grabbing a basket to go pick wild vegetables. Why? Because I owed veggies to the nice ladies who kept me alive all winter. Yeah, my life is that glamorous. 3 months ago, I was chilling in the modern world with electricity and Wi-Fi. And then, bam! I woke up in the Great Qing dynasty inside the body of some broke dude also named Lu Qing. Thanks, universe. Real generous. Old Lu Qing's dad was the village chief, so he had enough money to send his son to school. 10 years of studying. 10. And all he got was a Xiaocai degree, basically the participation trophy of imperial exams. Couldn't even pass the next level. A Xiaocai gets you out of taxes and hard labor, which sounds cool until you realize the government stopped paying the scholarship because they're too busy sending tribute money to every barbarian tribe with a horse and an attitude. Dad died to bandits 3 years back. Family went from, we're doing okay, to, we literally have walls and nothing else. Original Lu Qing looked at his empty house, his empty stomach, and his empty future, and checked out permanently. That's where I come in. Lucky me. I barely survived winter thanks to the neighbors tossing me scraps like I'm a stray dog. I was standing there having a deep philosophical moment staring at the mountains when 2 government officers showed up at my gate with the village chief, Old Lu. Are you Lu Qing the scholar? My stomach dropped. Government guys at your door is never good. But Old Lu was smiling, which was somehow worse. Good news, he said. Good news? For me? In this economy? In this body? We're delivering you a wife? I'm sorry, what? Turns out the empire is so desperate for babies that they made a law. If you hit a certain age and you're still single, the government plays matchmaker. And by matchmaker, I mean they grab random single people and just slam them together like action figures. You don't get to pick. You don't get to complain. You just get whoever shows up. The guy in the next village? Lazy, disabled, absolute disaster of a human. Got paired with a gorgeous woman. She cried. He celebrated. The scholar in another village? Smart, ambitious, about to level up his degree, got matched with a woman built like a professional wrestler. People thought she was his bodyguard. The government does not care about your feelings. They care about population numbers. To them, we're all just baby-making machines with tax obligations. And if you refuse? Oh, it's a fun menu of consequences. Your whole family pays 10 times the normal taxes. You get shipped off to the army or the mines. And if you're a woman, you get sold to the barbarians as tribute. 5 silver coins per head. The barbarians make them fight each other in arenas and freeze to death in winter. So yeah, no thanks isn't really an option. Can I decline? I asked very carefully. The officer looked at me like I'd just insulted his mother. Refuse? We strip your degree, seize your property, and send you to the army. I am thrilled to serve the empire, I said immediately. My noodle arms would last about 4 seconds in the military. Whatever. Lights off, everyone looks the same, right? I'm going for it. They walked me to the village entrance where literally the entire village had gathered. Every man, woman, child, and probably a few chickens, all here for the show. This is their Netflix. This is their Super Bowl. Government-forced weddings are peak entertainment when you don't have electricity. Lu Qing's here, someone yelled, and the crowd went wild with gossip. Meanwhile, Annie Zhang was poking at this girl Meng Xiaowan, who apparently used to have a crush on me. Going, regretting it now, huh? Xiaowan shut that down fast. I'm not interested. Scholar Wang from the next village already sent a marriage proposal. She'd rather be some future big shot side chick than my starving main wife. Honestly, fair. I can't even feed myself. The eligible bachelors lined up. The eligible women lined up across from us. And then the dad started shopping. Ooh, number 2. Look at those arms. She can plow a field. Number 5. Nice dark skin, very healthy. Number 3 has excellent childbearing hips. They were literally evaluating these women like livestock at an auction. Nobody cared about looks. In a village this poor, a pretty wife is a luxury item. You need someone who can work the fields, haul water, and produce sons like a factory line. Marrying a beauty queen here is like buying a sports car when you can't afford gas. So there I stood, surrounded by farmers doing cost-benefit analysis on women's bone structure, wondering what cosmic joke landed me here. This is my life now. So the picking game began. The men were eyeing the women like produce at a farmer's market, and honestly, the women were sizing us up right back. Fair enough. They're about to be stuck with one of us forever, Their faces all said the same thing. Please don't let him be terrible. Then the crowd started buzzing about one girl, Han Xionyang from Xia Village. Drop-dead gorgeous. Skin like porcelain. The kind of pretty that makes you forget your own name. So why was nobody picking her? Oh, because she's apparently a husband killer. 2 guys lined up to marry her before, and both mysteriously died right before the wedding. The village people were talking about her like she's a final boss in a horror game. Such a waste to send her as tribute to the barbarians. Nah, maybe she'll curse a few of them to death. Win-win for the empire. Real classy folks. I looked at Xionyang standing there, head down, tears pooling in her eyes, biting her lip while everyone roasted her like a comedy special. Every word hitting her like a dart. Poor girl. If nobody picked her today, she'd be shipped off to the barbarians as tribute. Her whole family would be destroyed. Meanwhile, the selection process turned into absolute chaos. Every dad in the village started bribing the village chief to let their son pick first. Chief Liu, I caught a rabbit last week. It's yours. Chief Liu, my boy brought wine from the city. Premium stuff. It was like an auction house run by chickens. The government officer finally lost it. Shut up. They're all the same. None of them are gold-plated. Lu Qing, you go first. Wait. Me? First pick? Out of everyone. Apparently standing quietly in the corner while everyone else acts like animals is a viable strategy. Note to self. Immediately, Uncle Zhao rushed over like a used car salesman. Hey buddy, pal, friend, can you skip number 2? She's built like an ox, perfect for my son Taiju. Our family needs the labor. I'll forgive the wild vegetables I gave you this winter. We're square. Now, wild vegetables are basically currency around here. The taxes are so brutal that people can barely keep any grain. Everyone survives on foraged greens. So this was actually a serious offer. Sure, I said. I wasn't going for number 2 anyway. Word spread fast that I was easy to negotiate with. Suddenly, every family in the village was lining up to make deals. Lu Qing, skip number 3. I'll forget what you owe me. Lu Qing, leave number 5 alone. Here's my offer. Lu Qing, number 7. Please, I'm begging you. Chief Lu watched me agree to everything and just shook his head like a disappointed father watching his kid trade away a PS5 for a bag of chips. One by one, I gave away every strong, farm-ready, muscle-bound woman on the list. By the end, my vegetable debts were completely cleared. The downside, my options had been reduced to basically the leftovers. But here's the thing. I was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers. I didn't want the human tractors. I wanted the hidden gem. I choose her, I said, pointing straight at Han Xionyang. The entire village went silent, then exploded. Is he insane? Does he want to die? Chief Lu started coughing like he swallowed a fly. Lu Qing, think about this carefully. She's, a husband killer. Auntie Zhang grabbed my arm like I was walking off a cliff. Boy, this is suicide. Nah, I'm good. I pick her. Look, husband killer is superstitious nonsense. Coincidences happen. You know what's not a coincidence? A face that pretty being available when every other option is gone. This is called strategy. Xionyang stared at me in total shock. This girl was fully prepared to be shipped off to barbarian death games, and some skinny broke scholar just volunteered to marry her. She started crying, happy tears this time. Do you accept? The officer asked her. Yes. Yes, I accept. Thank you. Thank you for choosing me. She was practically vibrating with relief. If nobody picked her, her whole family would have been seized and destroyed. I'm basically her superhero right now. A very hungry, very broke superhero, but still. We signed the marriage papers. The officer handed me our certificate. Aim for 2 kids in 3 years, 3 and 5, he said, like he was assigning production quotas at a factory. Cool. No pressure. I grabbed my new wife and turned to leave, feeling pretty good about my life choices for once, when the officer blocked my path. My stomach dropped. What now? Xionyang flinched behind me, terrified they'd take it back. The officer smirked. New law this year. Scholars must take 3 wives. Pick 2 more or face military conscription. I'm sorry, 3? The government is literally treating scholars like breeding stallions. 1 wife wasn't enough. They want me running a whole roster? Chief Lu lit up like a Christmas tree. Wonderful. Lu Qing, hurry up and pick 2 more, but this time pick ones that can work. Your scholar status only covers your taxes, not your wives. You need women who can earn their own tax money. So let me get this straight. I can't feed myself. I just married the village curse, and now the government wants me to collect 2 more wives like Pokemon cards, and they'd better be profitable ones. This is fine. Everything is fine. So Qianyang, my brand new wife of approximately 45 seconds, dropped a bombshell. Husband, my cousins are here too. She looked at me like a puppy asking for a second treat when she knows she already pushed her luck with the first one. Brother-in-law, 2 girls came flying out of the lineup. And let me tell you, also gorgeous. Like, suspiciously gorgeous. The whole set. It's like finding a limited edition collectible and then discovering there's an entire series nobody wanted. Why didn't anyone pick them? Well, they were skinny as chopsticks, clearly hadn't eaten a proper meal in years, and they were related to Qianyang, the husband killer. In this world, bad reputation spreads through family like Wi-Fi through walls. If your cousin is cursed, congratulations, you're cursed adjacent. If nobody chose them today, they'd both be shipped off as barbarian tribute, which means death arenas and freezing winters. So, no pressure on me or anything. The crowd immediately started heckling. Don't do it, Lu Qing. They can't even lift a bucket. You're collecting decorations, not wives. 1 bad choice was enough. Don't make 3. Then Yulan dropped to her knees in front of me. Brother-in-law, please. We'll do anything. We eat barely nothing. 1 meal a day is fine. Please take us. Sui hit the ground next, forehead to the dirt. We can work. We promise. And then Qianyang joined them. All 3 women, kneeling in the mud, begging me not to let them die. Look, I'm a modern man trapped in an ancient body. My heart is made of marshmallow. What was I supposed to do? Say no while 3 crying girls kneel at my feet. I'm soft, not heartless. I'll take them both. Even the officer looked at me like I'd lost my mind. You're sure? 3 women who can't do farm work? In your financial situation? Confirmed. We signed papers. They threw 3 sad, flat little bundles off the cart, the girl's entire worldly possessions. There, dowry, weighed less than my breakfast. If I had breakfast, which I don't. Chief Lu pulled me aside before we left. Lu Qing, you know the village tradition, right? Sure. I'll throw a wedding feast for everyone. He stared at me like I'd just spoken alien. No, you idiot. The beating, oh, right. Apparently the standard procedure for government-arranged marriages across the entire empire is take your new wife home, beat her senseless, then make her kneel outside without food for 3 days. This supposedly breaks her spirit and establishes your dominance. You know, romance. I understand, I said, because arguing about human rights with an old village chief in a feudal dynasty is like explaining blockchain to a goldfish. Pointless. I led my 3 new wives home. They followed behind me in terrified silence, like prisoners being marched to the gallows. Qianyang's cousins kept exchanging nervous glances, and Qianyang kept whispering, "It'll be fine," in a voice that absolutely did not sound fine. We arrived at Casa de Lu Qing, which is a very generous name for what is essentially 3 dirt rooms, one of which has a collapsed roof. Half the windows are broken. The yard looks like it hasn't been touched since the dinosaurs. I was genuinely embarrassed. Sorry about the, everything. Qianyang, absolute angel that she is, smiled and said, as long as it keeps the rain out, we're happy. Sui chimed in. We'll work hard. Things will get better. Yulan even managed a small smile. We believe in you, husband. 3 women are standing in my crumbling disaster house telling me they believe in me. I can't even feed myself. The audacity of their optimism was almost inspiring. We went inside. Awkward silence. For strangers in a broken house with nothing to say. Want some water? I offered, grabbing the only thing I had, a big bowl. No teapot. No cups. Just bowls. Eating bowl doubles as drinking bowl. Luxury living. We'll serve ourselves. Qianyang grabbed the bowl from me, already being the perfect wife. And then, all 3 of them knelt down in front of me again. Husband, we know the rules. Please, just don't hit too hard. Qianyang looked up at me with those big eyes, bracing herself for a beating. Sui was already flinching. Yulan had her jaw clenched, ready to take it. Their parents had literally coached them for this moment. No matter how badly he beats you, grit your teeth and endure it. That's how you make your husband happy. This is what passes for marriage advice in the Great Yong Dynasty. My heart shattered into about 9,000 pieces. Stand up. All of you. I'm not hitting anyone. They stared at me like I'd just announced I could fly. But, Husband, if you don't beat us, people will laugh at you, Sui said, genuinely concerned for me. You're my wives, not livestock. A man who hits his own women isn't powerful. He's pathetic. What other people think is their problem, not ours. Now get off the floor. I pulled all three of them up. Chunyang looked at me like she was seeing a unicorn for the first time. Really? Yeah, really. Her parents had spent the morning preparing her to be beaten by a stranger, and instead she got a guy from the future who thinks domestic violence is, bad. I might be broke. I might live in a house that's one strong wind away from being a pile of dirt. I might have zero idea how I'm going to feed 4 mouths when I can barely feed one. But at least nobody's getting punched on their wedding day. That's the Lu Qing guarantee. I gave Chunyang a little flick on the forehead. Of course I won't hit you, dummy. Then she remembered something and got all excited. Husband, my dowry. She opened her bundle on the table. Inside, 2 patched-up shirts and 15 copper coins. In this dynasty, women aren't allowed to keep money. That's apparently improper behavior. So everything goes to the husband on day 1. Marriage is basically a financial merger where one party has no equity. Yulan opened hers, 10 coins. Sui, 10 coins. Grand total, 35 copper coins. That's our entire family fortune, folks. 35 pennies. We're basically a startup with 0 funding and 4 employees. Husband, take this money to Luliang County and buy food, Chunyang said, doing the mental math. If we're careful, 35 coins could stretch a few months on bare minimum eating. In this economy, a family with 100 coins is considered rich. We have 35. We're not rich. We're the opposite of rich. We're whatever word is below broke. I pocketed the money and headed out. 3 hours of walking on these noodle legs. My body is absolutely pathetic. A normal person does this trip in 2 hours, but I needed 3 because original Lu Qing apparently never exercised a day in his life. Dude studied books for 10 years, and his muscles simply left the chat. On the way out, I passed by neighbor Sun Magong's house. Heard a woman screaming inside. He was doing the establishing dominance, beating on his new wife. Lovely neighborhood. I finally dragged myself into Luliang County, gasping like a dying fish. Now here's where I did something that would make my wives think I'm either a genius or completely insane. I did not buy food. Look, 35 coins of rice feeds us for a couple months. And then what? We starve again. That's not a plan. That's a countdown to death with extra steps. I have 3 wives now. I need income, not groceries. So I walked straight into a blacksmith shop. What would you like me to forge, sir? Let me draw it. I sketched out a bunch of custom tools. The blacksmith looked at my drawings like I'd handed him alien blueprints. Weird shapes, strange designs, nothing he'd ever seen before. But he shrugged and said he could do it. 30 coins. Almost everything we had. With the last 5 coins, I bought fabric. I walked home carrying a bag of bizarre metal tools and some cloth. No rice. No flour. No food whatsoever. Chunyang was in the yard when I got back, trying to clear space for a garden. She was drenched in sweat and had barely cleared a small patch because, bless her heart, she weighs about as much as a medium-sized dog. You're back, she beamed at me. I wiped the sweat off her face, and she turned redder than a tomato. We're technically married, but still total strangers. The intimacy settings are still loading. Where are Yulan and Sui? Auntie Zhang took them to dig wild vegetables. Good old Auntie Zhang, still looking out for the Lu family. Then Chunyang noticed my haul. Her eyes went from curious to confused to horrified in about 2 seconds. Husband, what is all that? Tools, you didn't buy food? Nope. I watched the color drain from her face in real time. She was doing the math. 35 coins, 0 food, for hungry people, and a pile of weird metal shapes that definitely cannot be eaten. I could practically hear her internal monologue. I married a lunatic. I escaped being sold to barbarians just to starve to death with a scholar who spent our grocery money on arts and crafts. She didn't say any of that, of course. She just smiled a painful smile and silently accepted her fate. Bless her. I'm going into the mountain, I announced. The mountain? You're a scholar. What are you doing in the mountain? Digging. Vegetables. Sort of. On my way up, I ran into some village guys coming down. They immediately started roasting me. Lu Qing. Just got married and already out working? Save your energy for tonight, buddy. Don't embarrass our village's reputation. Everyone knows Monglong village nights are the loudest. If your house is quiet, You'll never live it down. These guys are literally peer pressuring me about my wedding night performance while I'm hauling a basket up a mountain. This village has zero boundaries. I shook them off and pushed deep into the mountain. 3 hours of hiking through thick forest until I found what I was looking for. See, before all this wife-collecting madness, I'd done my research. I'd asked around in town. I knew what grew in these mountains. And what I needed wasn't vegetables. It was ginseng. One root of wild ginseng. Even a mediocre one sells for at least 2 strings of coins. That's over 600 copper coins. A good one, way more. We're talking about a single plant worth more than most families see in a year. Please let me be right about this. I started searching. Methodically, grid by grid. Using my modern brain to identify the right soil, the right shade conditions, the right companion plants that signal ginseng nearby. And then, there it was. A beautiful ginseng root, sitting in the earth like buried treasure. I pulled out my custom tools, the weird metal things that made the blacksmith confused and my wife question her life choices, and started carefully excavating. 30 coins well spent. Sometimes the best investment isn't dinner. It's the shovel that digs up something worth 100 dinners. Xionyang, baby, your husband isn't crazy. He's just playing the long game. So I spent the entire night on that mountain digging up ginseng like a man possessed. Lost track of time, lost track of direction, lost track of basically everything. By the time I realized it was pitch dark, I had no idea where I was. Genius move, Lu Qing. Really stellar survival skills from the guy who couldn't even walk to town without wheezing. Meanwhile, back at the crumbling mansion I call home, my 3 brand new wives were apparently having a fantastic evening. Yulan and Sui had come back from vegetable digging all cheerful, ready for their wedding night dinner. What did husband buy us to eat? Xionyang, with the face of a woman who has already accepted her tragic fate. He didn't buy food. He bought weird metal things and went into the mountain. Yulan literally collapsed onto the ground. Sister, are our lives really this miserable? Their entire dowry, every last coin 3 families scraped together, blown on mystery shapes by a scholar who then wandered into the wilderness like a confused deer. From their perspective, they'd married the world's dumbest man. Night fell. No Lu Qing. Midnight. No Lu Qing. They sat in the dark room, wide awake, staring at each other in pure dread. 3 women on their wedding night. No husband, no food, no money, just vibes. Bad vibes. Xionyang was spiraling hardest. Because if I died out there, she's not just a widow. She's officially the husband killer. 3 for 3. Undefeated champion. The whole, it's just superstition, argument kind of falls apart at a 3-death streak. Morning came. Still no me. Auntie Zhang showed up to collect the girls for vegetable duty and saw 3 zombies standing in the doorway. Dark circles, messy hair, dead eyes. Zhang grinned like a villain. Well. Lu Qing looks scrawny, but apparently he's got stamina. Look at you 3, completely wrecked. He didn't come home last night. Zhang's smile evaporated instantly. What? Within minutes, the entire village knew. And the reaction was exactly what you'd expect. Told you. Husband killer. Called it. He married the curse and her cousins. This man chose death. We need to kick that woman out of our village before she kills us all. And my personal favorite, Sun Magong. The guy I heard beating his wife yesterday, looking absolutely delighted. Lu Qing's probably dead. Those 3 wives look pretty nice though. Think the curse resets after the 3rd husband. This man beat his wife 24 hours ago and is already window shopping for mine. What a community. Uncle Wu rallied a search party and the whole village headed toward the mountain to find my corpse. That's when I came strolling down the path with my basket, completely alive, mildly confused. What's everyone doing? Are there bandits? Everyone froze. Then the shouting started. He's alive. Lu Qing. They swarmed me like I'd returned from war. Apparently the entire village had dropped their spring planting to come look for my body. That's actually really sweet. These people can barely feed themselves, but they'll abandon a day's work to search for the neighborhood idiot who got lost on a mountain. Village life has its moments. Sorry everyone, I just got lost. Couldn't find my way back until sunrise. My bad. Uncle Zhao pulled me aside with his serious face on. Lu Qing, listen. You got lucky this time. But it's obvious what happened. Your wife is cursing you. Ditch all 3 of them. Get a new wife. One that won't kill you. Uncle Wu nodded gravely. Your Auntie Zhang agrees. Send them away. Everyone in this village is absolutely convinced that my wife is a supernatural assassination machine and I'm her next target. It's like living inside a horror movie where I'm the only person who's seen a science textbook. Thanks for the concern, I said with a smile, because what else can you say? I walked home and found 3 women who looked like they hadn't breathed in 24 hours. Husband, all 3 rushed me at once. Yulan was shaking. I thought you were. I thought. Sui grabbed my arm. Please never go into the mountain again. We'll handle the vegetables. Xionyang was just silently crying, tears rolling down her face. I wiped her tears and realized something unexpected. Having people worry about you feels really nice. In my previous life, I could disappear for a week and nobody would notice. Here, I vanish for one night and 3 women don't sleep. An old lady mobilizes a search party, and the whole village storms a mountain. Being broke and loved beats being comfortable and invisible. Did you eat? I asked. All 3 shook their heads. They'd been too worried to touch food. Wedding night, no dinner. Day after wedding, no breakfast. This family is absolutely killing it. Hungry, we're fine, Xionyang lied, with the conviction of someone whose stomach was eating itself. Good. Because we're going to Luliang County. No explanation. No details. Just follow me. 3 exhausted, starving women stared at me with expressions that clearly said, this man is going to get us all killed, and we legally cannot divorce him. But they followed. Because what else were they going to do? The second I said, we're going to Luliang County, all 3 of my wives turned white as ghosts and hit the floor. Please don't divorce us. Xionyang was on her knees, forehead to the ground. If you're angry, just beat us. Hit us. Here's a stick. Just don't send us away. Yulan literally brought me a switch. Like, girl went and fetched a weapon for me to use on her. This is the saddest customer service I've ever seen. They were convinced I blamed them for my mountain adventure and was marching them to the courthouse to file for divorce. Because in this lovely dynasty, if a woman gets divorced, she can't go home, can't remarry, and gets shipped off to the barbarians as tribute. So, divorce basically means death sentence with extra steps. I'm not divorcing anyone. I need help carrying stuff. That's why you're coming. Xionyang's head popped up like a meerkat. Carrying stuff? Yes. Shopping. The 4 of us. Together, her head started bobbing like a chicken pecking grain. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We'll go. Anywhere. Even into a dragon's cave. Meanwhile, back in the village, everyone watched us leave and jumped to conclusions at Olympic speed. He's going to divorce the cursed woman. Obviously. She almost killed him on day 1. Sun Magong, wife-beater extraordinaire, was cackling from his doorstep. I told everyone she was bad luck. But no, Mr. Scholar thought he was special. The village gossip machine shifted gears from Lu Qing is dead to Lu Qing is getting divorced without missing a beat. These people should start a newspaper. We arrived in Luliang County, and I led everyone straight to a medicine shop. Shelves of herbs, 2 apprentices grinding stuff, an old doctor with a white beard looking exactly like you'd expect a traditional medicine guy to look. The shopkeeper spotted us, 4 people in patched-up rags, and his eyes lit up with that special glow merchants get when they see easy targets. What can I help you with? Do you buy ginseng? Sure. 1 string of coins per root. He smiled like a shark. 1 string is 300 coins. For context, I knew from asking around that my ginseng was worth way more than that. This man saw village idiots walk in and immediately switched to scam mode. Okay, take a look at this. I unwrapped my ginseng. I'd packed it perfectly, every tiny root hair intact, carefully preserved using my custom tools. The ones my wife thought were useless junk. The ones that cost our entire life savings. The shopkeeper's eyes went wide for half a second before he caught himself and put his poker face back on. This one is pretty good. I'll give you 2 strings, 600 coins. Xionyang, Yulan, and Sui nearly fainted. Their brains were doing the math. 600 coins is more than a family earns in a year after taxes. They went from, our husband wasted our dowry on garbage, to wait. He's a genius, in real time. I could see the guilt flooding their faces. They'd spent all night thinking I was an idiot, and all morning thinking I was divorcing them. And now this. But I wasn't done. I wrapped the ginseng back up and turned for the door. Let's go. The shopkeeper nearly tripped over his own counter. Wait. Where are you going? You're not taking this seriously. I'll find another buyer. Now, let's not be hasty. Name your price. 30 silver taels. Silence. The entire shop froze. The apprentices stopped grinding. The old doctor looked up from his patient. A fly probably stopped buzzing. My three wives forgot how to breathe. 30 taels of silver is an astronomical number. Most families never see that much money in their entire lives. Xionyang looked like someone had hit her with a stun gun. The shopkeeper laughed nervously. You're joking, right? I turned to leave again. Wait. Okay, 25 taels. That's the highest anyone in this entire county would pay. I swear. This old crook went from offering 2 strings of coins to 25 taels of silver in about 3 minutes. His opening offer was roughly 1/50th of his final price. The man tried to rob me in broad daylight, and I made him rob himself instead. Deal? He gritted his teeth. I could tell he was still making a massive profit, probably going to resell it for several times that amount. But I needed the cash now and had no other connections, so 25 taels was my win. He was mentally cursing me. I was mentally cursing him. We shook hands like two people who respected each other's ability to be terrible. Beautiful business relationship. I took 15 taels in silver and converted the remaining 10 into copper coins, 100 strings worth. We walked out of that shop and my wives transformed into secret agents. Xionyang's eyes were darting left and right like she was scanning for assassins. Yulan was clutching my sleeve so tight her knuckles were white. Sui was walking so close behind me she was basically wearing me as a backpack. They were carrying more money than they'd ever seen in their lives, walking through a busy town in ragged clothes. Every stranger was a potential robber. Every shadow was a threat. 24 hours ago, our total net worth was 35 copper coins and a pile of weird metal shapes. Now we had 25 taels of silver. From can't afford dinner to small town rich in one overnight mountain trip. Those custom tools, worth every coin. That sleepless night on the mountain, worth every second. My wives thinking I was a useless idiot who wasted their dowry? Priceless. This is what we call the first bucket of gold, baby. And I'm just getting started. My three wives were walking through town like they were transporting nuclear launch codes, eyes darting everywhere. Yulan was practically vibrating with anxiety. Husband, can we please go home? Everyone is staring at us. Relax. This is pocket change. Even if we lost it, no big deal. 3 pairs of eyes went completely blank. I think I actually broke their brains. Pocket change? 25 taels. In their world, this money could fund 10 years of careful living. I just called it pocket change. They were looking at me like I'd announced the sky was green. First things first, we're eating. I marched them straight to the best restaurant in town. Xionyang immediately tried to retreat like a vampire from sunlight. Husband, this is too expensive. Let's just eat somewhere cheap. Nope. I'm a man with 25 taels and 3 starving wives. We're going in. We sat down. The menu was carved on wooden boards on the wall. I started ordering. Steamed fish. Braised chicken. 1 pound of beef. 10 meat buns. Husband, stop. Yulan was grabbing my arm like I was about to jump off a bridge. Too much, Xionyang squeaked. If we can't finish, we take it home. Today we eat. The food arrived. 3 women sat there staring at it like it was a museum exhibit. Nobody moved. What's wrong? I think this is a dream, Xionyang whispered. If I touch the chopsticks, I'll wake up. This woman had never eaten food this good in her life. Not on New Year's. Not ever. And the beef? That was basically caviar in this economy. It's real. Eat. They still hesitated. Here's the heartbreaking part. Back when they were begging me to marry them, they'd promised they eat very little, 1 meal a day is fine. Now they were terrified that if they ate too much, I'd think they were too expensive to keep and throw them out. My wives were afraid to eat because they thought I'd return them for consuming too many resources. Like they were subscription services I might cancel. Listen up. I don't care how much you eat. My only skill in life is making money. My job is to feed you 3 until you're round and healthy. Round wives make fat babies. That's the plan. Now eat everything on this table or I'm ordering more. I said it with my best head of household voice. Full authority mode. They exchanged one look, then absolutely demolished the food. Every plate scraped clean. Every bone stripped. Every bun inhaled. Their bellies were poking out like little drums by the end. Full. 3 happy nods. 3 food comas beginning. Sometimes happiness is just 1 good meal. That's it. That's all it takes. I dropped 1 tael of silver on the counter. Xionyang looked like I'd left a kidney on the table. One meal cost more than most families spend in a month. We can never eat there again, she declared, like she'd just witnessed a war crime against finances. Once in a lifetime is enough. No regrets. Husband, did we make you spend too much? She was genuinely guilty about eating lunch. I make money so my wives can spend it. That's literally the whole point. Now come on, we're going shopping. Shopping? I dragged them to the clothing store. 3 outfits each for my wives. 2 for me. Chunyang looked down at her clothes. The same dress she'd been wearing since she was 10. Patched so many times it was basically a quilt with sleeves. 6 sizes too small. She'd been wearing a child's outfit as an adult woman. These are still fine, she protested, turning bright red. Are they though? She looked down again and had no rebuttal. New clothes on all 3 of them, and wow. Just wow. Turns out my wives are actually stunning when they're not dressed in rags from the last decade. It's like someone applied an Instagram filter to real life. I caught myself staring. Sui noticed. Husband, is something wrong with how we look? Next stop. Jewelry, then cosmetics. Then I dropped 5 whole tails on grain and food supplies. We burned through 10 tails total in one shopping spree. My wives were in physical pain watching money leave my hands. Every purchase was a tiny heart attack for them. Final purchase, a wheelbarrow. Because we had so much stuff we literally couldn't carry it home. Now, a wheelbarrow in Monglong village is basically a Rolls Royce. It costs 2 strings of coins. Nobody in our village has one. We'd be rolling in with the equivalent of a luxury SUV. We loaded up and started the trek home, pushing our wheelbarrow up mountain roads. The girls had so much energy from lunch, they were practically sprinting. Amazing what one good meal does to a body that's been running on weeds for years. Sunset. We rolled into the village. And the stares began. Is that Lu Qing? Those women are still with him? He didn't divorce them. What are they pushing? Is that a wheelbarrow? Impossible. A wheelbarrow costs 2 strings. That broke idiot can't afford a wheelbarrow. Tiniu ran up and started inspecting it like a kid seeing a Ferrari. Where did you get this? Bought it. Bought it. With what? Sun Magong. Mr. Wife Beater, Mr. Maybe I can have his widows, squinted at me with suspicious little eyes. You're lying. A broke scholar doesn't have wheelbarrow money. Where'd you really get it? No comment. I pushed my wheelbarrow full of groceries, grain, new clothes, jewelry, and cosmetics past the stunned village, flanked by my 3 well-fed, beautifully dressed wives. Yesterday, broke, starving, presumed dead, married to a curse. Today, village baller with the only wheelbarrow in town. And I told them nothing about how I got the money. Let them wonder. Let them stare. Let Sun Magong choke on his own jealousy. The Lu Qing comeback tour has officially begun. The wheelbarrow was an instant celebrity. Taiju ran up to it like a kid meeting Santa Claus. Can we use it sometimes? Sure, anytime I'm not using it. It's community property. You'd think I'd donate it a hospital. Suddenly, everyone loved me. Lu Qing is so generous. What a great guy. So accomplished. Yesterday they were planning my funeral. Today I'm village employee of the month. Funny how a wheelbarrow changes public opinion faster than any speech. It's all thanks to my amazing wives, I said, looking at Chunyang, Yulan, and Sui. All 3 turned tomato red. The whole village had been calling Chunyang a husband-killing witch for 2 days straight. And here I was giving her credit for my success on the village main stage. Take that, gossip mill. And just like that, the crowd started complimenting my wives too. Because that's how people work. When you have money, your cursed wife becomes your lucky charm. Humanity is beautifully predictable. We got home. I looked at our house, and I used the word house very loosely. One room had a caved-in roof. The walls were essentially suggestions. A strong sneeze could bring the whole thing down. We need to build a new house, I announced. Yulan's jaw dropped. A new house. A big new house. Chunyang just smiled. After watching me turn 35 coins into 25 taels of silver in one day, she'd basically decided to stop questioning my decisions forever. Smart woman. Bedtime got awkward fast. There was one tiny bed. For people. You 3 take the bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Sui's face crumbled. Husband, do you find us disgusting? In this dynasty, separate sleeping means rejection. It means you think your wife is unworthy. People will gossip that she's improper. No. The bed is just too small. We'd be stacked like firewood. Let's get to know each other better first. Then you take the bed, and we'll sleep on the floor, Yulan offered. Absolutely not. You three are already skinny and weak. You sleep on the cold floor, you get sick. You get sick, we spend money on medicine. The magic word. The second I said, money, all three of them silently climbed into bed without another word. Financial arguments are undefeated in this household. Next morning, Chunyang brought me washing water. Thanks, I said, like a normal polite human. Her face collapsed. Why would husband say thank you to me? Am I a stranger? Am I an outsider? Taking care of you is my job. Saying thank you means you don't see me as family. I got in trouble for being polite. In the modern world, you get yelled at for not saying thanks. Here, you get yelled at for saying it. I cannot win. Sorry, I won't do it again. I pinched her cheek. She turned red and scurried away. Breakfast was revealing. Yulan set the table. My bowl had rice and meat. Their bowls had thin porridge with weeds floating in it. What's this? Husband is the head of the family and a scholar. You eat the good food. We're just common women. Porridge is fine for us. I stared at 3 bowls of sadness water next to my bowl of actual food. New rule. Starting today, whatever I eat, you eat. Same food. Same portions. And you eat until you're full. If I catch you starving yourselves again, I'm going to be angry. And you don't want me angry, but we. And oh butts. Yulan looked like she'd been scolded, but the tears in her eyes were the happy kind. I split my rice and meat between the 3 of them. Marrying you was the best thing that ever happened to us, Chunyang said quietly, eyes glistening. She'd never been treated this well, even in her own family's house. After breakfast, I headed back to the mountain for more ginseng. And that's when the trouble started. I noticed someone following me almost immediately. Sun Magong, village scumbag, wife beater, professional creep. He was trying to tail me with all the stealth of an elephant wearing tap shoes. I doubled back and appeared behind him. Looking for someone, he nearly jumped out of his skin. Just passing through. Hey, brother, you went into the mountain once and came back rich. What's up there? Share the secret with your old pal. His smile was so fake it could have been made in a factory. Nothing. Come on. Don't be like that. We're neighbors. I said nothing. His fake smile evaporated. The real Sun Magong showed up. The bully who'd been pushing original Lu Qing around for years. Don't make me ask nicely again, he growled, reaching for my collar. Big mistake. See, the original Lu Qing was a weak little bookworm who let everyone push him around. But I'm from the modern world. I may be in a weak body, but I know exactly where the pressure points are. The second his hand came toward me, I grabbed his thumb and bent it backwards. Crack. I slowly forced him down to his knees using nothing but his own thumb. 1 finger. That's all it took. This man who beats his wife for fun, who was already shopping for my wives when he thought I was dead, brought to his knees by a weak scholar with 1 hand. Grandpa Lu Qing, I'm sorry. Please, he went from brother to grandpa in 3 seconds flat. Respect speedrun world record. Get lost. I kicked him away. He scrambled to his feet, face white as paper. You'll pay for this, Lu Qing. Ah yes, the classic villain retreat line. Very original. Very scary. I'm trembling. He ran off down the mountain like a kicked dog. And I continued my walk toward more ginseng, cracking my knuckles. The old Lu Qing would have gotten robbed and cried about it. New Lu Qing breaks thumbs and takes names. This village is going to need some time to adjust. I spent all day on the mountain digging ginseng, feeling pretty good about life, and then I walked back into the village and saw smoke rising from the direction of my house. Lu Qing, your house is on fire, some kids yelled at me like they were announcing a sports score. I sprinted home and found nothing. Well, not nothing, ashes. My house was a pile of smoldering garbage. Everything. The food, the new clothes, the jewelry, the cosmetics, the grain I'd blown 5 tails on, and yes, the wheelbarrow, the pride of Monglong village, all gone. Cremated. The Rolls-Royce of village transportation, reduced to charcoal. My 3 wives were standing there looking like chimney sweeps, covered head to toe in soot, tears cutting clean streaks down their dirty faces. They'd tried to save what they could, but here's a fun fact about our village. We barely have enough water for drinking, let alone firefighting. So when your house catches fire, your options are A. Watch it burn, or B. Grab what you can and watch the rest burn. Yulan was crying. Things were just getting better. Why can't we have anything nice? And right on cue, like a cockroach sensing misery, Sun Magong appeared from the crowd with the biggest grin I've ever seen on a human face. I told you all, that Han Xionyang is cursed. Lu Qing didn't listen, and now look, his house burned down. She should leave Monglong village before she burns all our houses. The crowd started murmuring. Some people were actually agreeing with this thumb-broken wife-beating roach. He's right. We can't have bad luck people here. What if our houses burn next? Yulon fired back. My sister is not cursed. Our husband said she's a blessing. Sun Magong laughed. A blessing? Lu Qing is a moron book nerd who doesn't know anything. Your sister killed 2 men before their wedding day. That's not bad luck. That's a serial killer. Then Xionyang did the thing that absolutely destroyed me. She went quiet, looked at her cousins, and said softly, "You two stay with husband. He's a good man. He'll take care of you." I'll leave. She'd given up. Decided she really was the curse. That every bad thing happening was her fault. She was going to walk away from the first person who'd ever been kind to her, to protect him from herself. Sui and Yulon started panicking. Sister, Sun Magong piled on. And take your cousins with you. We don't want any of you here. That's when I arrived. Sun Magong, go yourself. I kicked him square in the butt from behind. He face-planted into the dirt like a human pancake. Beautiful form. Perfect landing. 10 out of 10. Who hit me? Your grandfather did. I jumped on him and started laying in kicks. 2 guys had to physically pull me off him. My house burned down. What's it to you? You dare talk to my wives like that? I'll break your leg today if you don't shut your mouth. The entire village went silent. Everyone was staring at me like I'd transformed into a different species. The quiet, polite, skinny scholar who says, "Thank you," for wash water just went full berserker mode on the village bully. I turned to Xionyang, gently brushed the hair from her soot-covered face, and looked her dead in the eyes. What other people say doesn't matter. You are my wife. Nobody touches you. Nobody. She stared at me, lip trembling. Sun Magong scrambled up, trying to save face. You dare hit me. I grabbed a HOE off the ground and turned around with the energy of a man who has absolutely nothing left to lose. House. Gone. Stuff. Gone. Fear. Also gone. Want to test me? He looked at the hoe. He looked at my face. He did the math. Why you? You'll pay for this. Lu Qing. And then he ran. Again. Same script, different day. Threatening from a safe distance. The official sport of cowards everywhere. Xionyang grabbed my arm, eyes full of guilt. Everything's gone. The food, the clothes, the wheelbarrow. It's all because of me. So what? The house was falling apart anyway. We'll build a bigger one. But nothing is more important than you 3 being alive and safe. Stuff can be replaced. You can't. We're alive. That's all that matters. I turned to the crowd. Everyone who came to help today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everyone who came to watch the show. Fine. I don't blame you. Entertainment is scarce around here. But if anyone messes with my wives again, they answer to me. Now go home. The crowd dispersed. I walked into the burnt wreckage and started looking around carefully. Yulon had told me they'd put out the kitchen fire before leaving. The flames started after they left. And this fire didn't look natural. I had a pretty good idea who was behind it. A certain someone I'd humiliated this morning. A certain someone whose thumb I'd snapped like a breadstick. A certain someone who'd shown up to the fire scene awfully fast and awfully happy. I didn't say anything yet. Just filed it away. Husband, where do we sleep tonight? Sui asked, looking at our former house, which was now basically a campfire pit. Don't worry. Someone will give us a house. 3 confused faces stared at me. Who's going to give us a house? I just smiled. Because when you've already lost everything once and rebuilt it in 24 hours, losing it again is just Tuesday. And Sun Magong, he's going to find out that burning my house down was the most expensive decision he ever made. My wives looked at me like I'd lost my marbles when I said someone would give us a house. In their defense, that is a weird thing to say when you're standing in front of a smoking pile of rubble that used to be your home. But Yulon, sweet, trusting Yulon, just nodded. If husband says so, I believe it. This girl's faith in me is genuinely concerning. I could say, I'm going to fly to the moon, and she'd start packing my lunch. First priority, park the wives somewhere safe. I asked Annie Zhang if they could crash at her place temporarily. She hesitated. And I get it. From her perspective, my wives are basically walking disaster magnets. In the 3 days since our marriage, I almost died on a mountain. Our house burned down, and the village is one bad rumor away from forming a pitchfork mob. Bringing my wives into your home is like inviting a tornado to dinner. I slipped her 10 copper coins. Of course they can stay. Come right in, girls. Money, the universal attitude adjuster. I also borrowed her 2 sons, Wu He and Wu Hai. These guys are basically the village security team. Their dad was an actual military veteran, so they grew up learning how to fight. They're the Jia Tu, basically the neighborhood watch captains in Monglong Village's anti-bandit defense system. What do you need us for? Wu He asked. Catching a thief. A thief? In our village? Everyone here is too broke to steal from. Here's the thing, I explained. I checked the wreckage. The wheelbarrow was stored inside the house. If it burned with everything else, there should be metal remains, nails, brackets, iron parts. But I found nothing. Zero. The wheelbarrow didn't burn. It was removed before the fire. Their eyes went wide. Someone stole the wheelbarrow, probably stole everything else valuable, and then torched the house to destroy the evidence. No wheelbarrow remains means no one would ever know anything was stolen. They'd just assume it all burned. Wu Hai stared at me. Bro, are you secretly a detective? Call me Sherlock Lu Qing. Elementary, dear Watson. Who did it? Sun Magong. Obviously. The guy I humiliated this morning. The guy who showed up to the fire scene suspiciously fast, with suspiciously perfect timing to launch an anti-Chunyang campaign. The guy whose only 2 personality traits are bully and terrible, but I couldn't just go kick down his door. That would tip him off, and he'd move the evidence. We needed to catch him red-handed. So we staked out at the village entrance. In the dark, like 3 ninjas waiting for a rat to leave its hole. Wu Hai started getting antsy after a couple hours. How long do we wait? Patience. 3 in the morning. The village was dead silent except for a few houses with enthusiastic newlywed sounds. Spring is breeding season indeed. Then, movement. Sun Magong and his wife, sneaking out of the village like cartoon burglars. They crept toward the eastern woods, checking over their shoulders every few steps. Amateurs. We followed. Silent. Professional. Okay, mostly silent. Wu Hai stepped on a branch at one point, but they didn't notice because Sun Magong was too busy running his mouth. Are you sure this is okay? His wife whispered. What's anyone gonna know? Everything burned. Nobody knows I took all their stuff before lighting the fire. We sell this in Luliang County, and we'll be eating good, baby. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, a full confession delivered voluntarily to an audience of 3 hidden witnesses. Criminal mastermind of the century. His wife tried again. I still think this is wrong. Shut up or I'll sell you to Madame Luo's brothel in the red light district. What a charming husband. Really makes you appreciate why I chose not to beat my wives on day 1. The bar for men in this dynasty is literally underground, and Sun Magong is still digging. They rounded a hill, and there it was. My wheelbarrow, loaded up with all my stuff. The flour, the wheat, the clothes, everything I'd bought in town, perfectly preserved and ready for black market resale. This man didn't just burn my house. He gave it a full looting first, like a Viking with a business plan. There's so much, his wife gasped. That little punk found treasure in the mountains. Sooner or later I'll beat it out of him too. Time to make my entrance. Sun Magong. Wu He jumped out and punched him right in the face. Sun Magong stumbled, saw Wu He, and immediately pulled a knife. An actual knife. This psychopath brought a weapon to his own robbery. Back off, Wu He. I'll get you right here, sell this stuff in town, and never come back. You think I care about this garbage village? Then I stepped out from behind the trees with Wu Hai. Think you can run from all 3 of us? The color drained from his face so fast you could practically hear it. 1 guy with a knife versus 3 angry men in the dark woods. Even Sun Magong could do that math. His hand started shaking. The knife suddenly didn't seem like enough. You know what's beautiful? 3 days ago, this man was laughing about stealing my dead body's wives. 2 days ago, he was leading a campaign to exile my wife from the village. This morning, I broke his thumb. Tonight, I burned his scheme to the ground. And we're just getting started, buddy. We're just getting started. Sun Magong tried to run. Classic. He grabbed his own wife and threw her at Wu He like a human bowling ball, then bolted into the darkness. Real gentleman, this guy uses his spouse as a distraction device. Marriage goals. But I'd been holding a rock. Because I'm not stupid. While everyone was watching him monologue about his innocence, I was standing there like a pitcher at a baseball game, preloaded and ready. He turned. I threw. Direct hit to the shin. Crack. Augh. Down he went like a sack of terrible decisions. Wu Hai pounced on him before he could blink, slapped him across the face for good measure, and we tied him up like a holiday roast. His wife immediately flipped. I had nothing to do with it. He was jealous of Lu Qing's money. He stole everything and set the fire. I told him it was wrong. Sun Magong, from the ground, face in the dirt. You traitor! I'll kill you when I get free. Buddy, you are literally tied up with rope, surrounded by 3 guys who hate you, and your wife just testified against you. Maybe stop making threats for 5 seconds. We dragged him to Chief Lu's house for a village trial. Because out here, there's no police. The village elders are the justice system. It's like a courtroom drama, but everyone's wearing patched-up rags, and the jury hasn't eaten breakfast. The verdict was swift. Theft plus arson equals big trouble. The elders wanted to ship him off to the county prison, which is apparently a place where you go in as a person and come out as a skeleton. If you come out at all. Sun Magong started panicking. Full waterworks mode. Village chief, I was wrong. Please. My grandfather and father died protecting this village from bandits. The Sun family only has me left. Wu He leaned over to me and whispered, he pulls this card every single time. And it works every single time. Turns out his grandpa and dad genuinely were village heroes who sacrificed themselves to lure bandits away years ago. Noble bloodline. Too bad the gene pool took a sharp left turn into a dumpster with this generation. Then Sun Magong played his desperation card. I'll give Lu Qing my house. And all the stolen stuff. I didn't touch any of it. And my wife. She can be his concubine. I swear I never even touched her. The whole room went quiet. You? Never touched your wife? Wu He asked, visibly confused. I can't. I'm physically unable. Ask her. Ask her. Everyone slowly turned to look at his wife, Dong Chunhua. She nodded. He's telling the truth. He never. Couldn't. Yeah. So let me get this straight. This man beat his wife on their wedding night to establish dominance, terrorized her daily, threatened to sell her to a brothel, used her as a human shield tonight. And he was impotent the entire time? All that toxic masculinity was compensation? The guy was swinging his ego around because he couldn't swing anything else. I can't even be angry. That's just sad. Chief Lu looked at me. Lu Qing, what do you think? Your call, Chief. Lu went soft. Of course he did. He's a good man, but a pushover. The kind of village leader who'd forgive a wolf for eating his chickens because the wolf's grandpa once did something nice. Since he's offering his house and his wife as compensation, and the stolen goods are untouched, I say we don't send him to prison. Uncle Wu, the military veteran, wasn't having it. Chief, we need to banish him. His grandparents' sacrifice can't be a get-out-of-jail-free card forever. If we keep forgiving him, everyone in this village will think they can do whatever they want. Uncle Tian agreed. 2 votes for banishment, 2 abstained, leaving it to Chief Lu. Lu looked at Sun Magong. Sighed. For your grandfather's sake. You can stay, but this is your last chance. Of course. The cockroach survives again. But here's my consolation prize. I now own Sun Magong's house, all my stolen stuff back, and his wife. Wife number 4. I went from 0 wives to 4 wives in less than a week. I'm collecting women faster than I'm collecting ginseng roots. I moved everyone into Sun Magong's house. It wasn't much better than my old place. Turns out lazy criminals don't maintain their homes either, shocker. But at least it had a roof, for walls, and 0 fire damage. Xionyang, Yulan, and Sui stared at Dong Chunhua. She's with us now. Sun Magong gave her to me as a concubine. Part of the settlement. I finally got a good look at Chunhua in proper lighting, and wait. She's pretty? Like, actually beautiful? Sun Magong had a gorgeous wife he was physically incapable of being with, so he just beat her and threatened to sell her. This man had a Ferrari in his garage and used it as a punching bag because he couldn't find the keys. Uncle Wu pulled me aside before we settled in. Lu Qing, learn from this. You showed off your money too fast. The wheelbarrow, the shopping spree, the fancy restaurant. That's why Sun Magong targeted you. Keep your wealth hidden. He was right. I'd gone from rags to riches and paraded it through the village like a victory lap. In a place where everyone's starving, flashing cash is painting a target on your back. Lesson learned. Make money quietly, spend money quietly, And save the flexing for when you can afford bodyguards. Chunyang tugged my sleeve nervously. Husband, Sun Magong isn't going to come back for revenge, is he? I looked at her worried face. This woman has spent her entire life being afraid. Afraid of her reputation, afraid of being sold, afraid of being beaten, afraid of being blamed. And now she's afraid of a toothless bully who just lost his house, his wife, and his dignity in one night. Sun Magong can come back anytime he wants. I'll be here, with my 4 wives, my wheelbarrow, and a very good throwing arm. I looked at Xionyang's worried face and did what I do best, acted like nothing could possibly go wrong. Don't worry, I've got this. Then I turned to Dong Chunhua, wife number 4, freshly acquired via the world's weirdest divorce settlement. She was standing in the corner, looking like a lost puppy at a new owner's house. Which, honestly, is kind of what just happened. Look, I didn't take you because I'm collecting women like trading cards. I took you because Sun Magong was going to sell you to a brothel. So here's the deal. You can stay, or you can leave. Your choice. I don't force anyone. She hit the floor so fast her knees left dents. I'll stay. That man was an animal. He beat me every single night. Please let me stay. Xuanyang helped her up, gave her clean clothes, and said the most beautiful sentence in the history of this dynasty. Don't worry, our husband doesn't hit people. He hasn't hit any of us since we got married. The bar is so low it's underground, and I'm still the best husband in the village. Next morning, I found Wu Hai sleeping outside my door like a guard dog. Your dad sent me to make sure Sun Magong didn't come back. This man gave up a night of sleep to protect my family. I went inside, grabbed a bag of white flour, which in this village is basically handing someone a bag of diamonds, and shoved it into his arms. Take this for your family. He did the polite refusal dance. Oh no, I couldn't. But his eyes said, please God, let him insist. Take it. Your mom kept me alive all winter. This is the least I can do. He took it. White flour in Monglong village is so valuable that 10 pounds of it is considered an acceptable bride price. You can literally marry someone for a bag of flour. I'm living in a place where wheat has more dating power than personality. After breakfast, I headed back to Luoyang County with 3 more ginseng roots. Back to my favorite pharmacy. The shopkeeper saw me walk in, and his face lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. Welcome back, SIR. Last time he tried to scam me with 2 strings of coins, and I squeezed 25 taels out of him. He later sold that ginseng for 80 taels. The man made a 220% profit, and somehow I'm the villain in his story. This time I had 3 roots. All top quality. How much for all 3? He stroked his chin. 80 taels? 100. That's a bit. You and I both know you'll triple your money. Stop pretending this hurts. He laughed. I laughed. 2 sharks respecting each other's teeth. Deal. 100 taels. 100 taels of silver. A week ago, I owned 35 copper coins and a broken house. Now I've made 125 taels total. I've gone from, can't afford wild vegetables, to, could probably buy a small section of this town. The financial trajectory of my life looks like a rocket launch. I bought supplies in town and headed home. The second I walked through the door, Chuanyang hit me with breaking news. Sun Magong robbed Chief Lu's house and ran away. Apparently, our favorite village cockroach stole everything from the man who saved him from prison last night, then vanished into the mountains. The entire village was out searching for him. Shocking, I said, with absolutely zero shock. A snake doesn't stop being a snake because you let it go. Chief Lu learned that lesson today. Should have listened to Uncle Wu about the banishment. Moving on. I had work to do. I pulled out the stuff I'd bought in town. Arrows, bow strings, hemp rope. The girls watched me curiously. Xionyang, Yulan, I'm going to teach you how to weave a fishing net. A what? A net. For catching fish. In the river, you catch fish with a rod or a spear, Yulan said, looking at me like I'd suggested catching fish with my bare thoughts. A rod catches 1 fish at a time. A net catches 50. Which sounds better. Her eyes went wide. You can do that. Nobody in this entire region knew what a fishing net was. They'd been standing next to a river full of food, poking at it with sticks 1 fish at a time, for generations. I felt like a time traveler showing cavemen a lighter. I taught them the weaving technique. Both picked it up in minutes. Smart women. Very smart. Then I moved on to phase 2, home defense. Using the arrows and strings, I built booby traps around the house. Trip wires connected to arrow mechanisms. Pull a rope, Arrows fly into whoever's standing at the door. I showed Xionyang the trigger system. If anyone comes to bother you while I'm gone, pull this string, I demonstrated. 5 arrows thunked into the door panel simultaneously. Xionyang nearly jumped out of her skin. What was that? That's called nobody messes with my wives. Any questions? I also dug hidden pit traps in the yard, covered them with leaves. This house was now basically a medieval Home Alone setup. Any uninvited guest was getting a very unpleasant surprise. Sun Magong wants revenge? Come on over, buddy. I've turned our house into a death maze and armed my wives. Finally, I swung by Uncle Wu's house. I'd bought 2 proper combat knives in town for Wu He and Wu Hai. They were the village's security officers, the Jia Tu, and they'd been doing their job with bare hands this whole time. That's like being a firefighter without a hose. Auntie Zhang saw the blades and started doing the polite refusal waltz. Oh my, these look expensive. We can't accept. Lady, your sons helped me catch an arsonist in the woods at 3 in the morning. Take the knives. And I haven't even started on the fishing yet. I dropped off 2 combat knives at Annie Zhang's house for Wu He and Wu Hai, the village security bros who helped me catch an arsonist at 3 a.m. in the woods. They'd been doing their jobs with wooden sticks. Literal sticks. That's like being a surgeon with a butter knife. Unacceptable. I left them with Zhang and went about my day. What I didn't know was that Uncle Wu, their dad, the military veteran, came home and had an absolute meltdown. Do you know how much these cost? 5 taels of silver. Zhang nearly fainted. She thought they were worth maybe a few dozen coins. Nope. 5 taels. More than their family could save in years. We're sending them back, Uncle Wu declared. Wu He was holding one of the knives like Gollum holding the ring. His face went from pure joy to devastation in real time. You could practically hear his heart cracking. Uncle Wu marched over to my house with both knives. Lu Qing, this is too expensive. Take them back, now. Uncle Wu is a proud man with principles. He doesn't take charity. He doesn't accept things he can't repay. I respect that enormously. But I also needed him to keep the knives, so I played the logic card. Uncle Wu, last night Sun Magong pulled a knife on your son. Your boys are out there protecting this entire village with wooden sticks, while criminals carry real weapons. If Wu had been alone last night, he could be dead right now. Uncle Wu's jaw tightened. Direct hit to the dad nerve. A good blade in their hands protects the whole village, including MY family. Think of it as an investment in community safety. He stood there wrestling with his pride for about 10 seconds, then sighed. Fine, but I owe you one. Anything you need, you come to me. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Not because I'm scheming. Okay, maybe a little, but because having a combat veteran and his 2 fighter sons owing you a favor in a village plagued by bandits is worth way more than 5 taels. He went home and tossed the knives to his boys. Wu He caught his and immediately started swinging it around like a kid on Christmas morning, making whooshing sounds. Uncle Wu kicked him across the room. I just told you to be careful and prioritize your safety. Yes, sir. Understood, sir. Wu He said, still grinning ear to ear while sprawled on the floor. With this blade, I could take on 10 Sun Magangs, Wu He announced proudly. Uncle Wu kicked him again. You didn't hear a single word I said. Wu He was crying from the kicks, but smiling about the knife. The duality of man. Later, Uncle Wu quietly told both sons, stay close to Lu Qing from now on. He'd noticed my booby traps in the yard. The ones I'd carefully hidden. The ones that nobody should be able to spot. He spotted them instantly because, military veteran. And he recognized that whoever built those traps wasn't some clueless bookworm. It was someone who knew what they were doing. Uncle Wu was starting to realize I wasn't quite the helpless scholar everyone thought I was. Good. I need allies who are smart enough to be useful, but loyal enough to be trusted. Meanwhile, Sun Magong, surprise, surprise, had robbed Chief Lu's house and disappeared. The same Chief Lu who'd saved him from prison 12 hours earlier. The man literally stole from his own defense attorney on the way out of court. I told you we should have banished him, Uncle Wu said, zero sympathy in his voice. Chief Lu was out there with a search party, learning the world's most expensive lesson about second chances. Some people don't deserve them, Chief. Some people are just cockroaches in human costumes. On the home front, Chunhua, wife number 4, was settling in nicely. She came back from vegetable digging with Xionyang and called me husband for the first time. Apparently, she'd fully committed to the role change. From abused wife of a criminal impotent arsonist to concubine of the village's rising star, quite the career pivot. My other wives still refused to stop hoarding wild vegetables despite having actual food now. They'd been hungry for so long that the fear of starvation was permanently installed in their operating system. Even with rice and flour in the house, they spent every spare moment drying and stockpiling greens like squirrels preparing for nuclear winter. I couldn't blame them. When you've lived your whole life one missed meal away from disaster, having a pantry full of food doesn't fix the anxiety. That takes time, and consistent meals, and a husband who keeps coming home with increasingly absurd amounts of silver. So here's the scoreboard. Allies secured. Uncle Wu's family, veteran 2 fighters, now armed and loyal. Village reputation, rapidly improving. Enemies neutralized. Sun Magong, fled, currently a fugitive. Home defense, fully operational death maze. Wives, 4, all healthy, all fed, all slowly learning that life doesn't have to be terrible. Silver remaining, still plenty. Village chief's opinion of me. Probably. That kid is smarter than I thought. You know what the funny thing is? All I did was be decent to people. Fed my wives instead of beating them. Gave gifts to people who helped me. Treated women like humans instead of livestock. Shared my wheelbarrow with the village. In the modern world, that's called basic human behavior. Here, it's making me a legend. The bar is so catastrophically low that being a normal good person makes you look like a saint. I'm not playing life on hard mode. I'm playing it on a mode so broken that common decency is a cheat code. Dinner time at the Lu Qing household, now a 5-person operation. I handed Xionyang a massive chicken leg, and she turned pink. Husband, people are watching. You worked hard today. Eat the leg. Doctor's orders. Then Chunhua, wife number 4, the newest recruit, started crying into her white flour bun. What's wrong? I've never eaten a white flour bun before. She'd seen one once. When her mother was sick and her father found half a bun somewhere. Her mom ate it and got better. In Chunhua's mind, white flour buns were literally medicine. This girl thought bread was a pharmaceutical product. Xionyang put her arm around Chunhua. Get used to it. Our husband is magic. We eat buns all the time now. She said it with the confidence of someone who'd been eating buns for exactly 4 days. After dinner, I loaded up a bag of white flour, a bag of millet, and a pound of pork. Xionyang watched me with suspicious eyes. What are you doing with all that? Visiting Chief Lu. Why? Sun Magong robbed him blind, remember? His family has nothing. We should check on them. Now, was I being a genuinely kind neighbor? Yes. Was I also executing a carefully calculated political maneuver? Also yes. We arrived at Chief Lu's house. Inside, the entire Lu family was sitting around bowls of hot water with weeds floating in it, looking like they'd just attended their own funeral. Lu's son, Erju, was ripping into his father. This is your fault. You protected that rat. Uncle Wu said banish him, and you said no. Now he stole everything. The savings we spent years collecting for Little Feng's wedding. Chief Lu sat there taking it. Because what could he say? He'd bet on a cockroach's redemption arc and lost everything. Chief Lu? It's Lu Qing. Lu's grandson let us in. The second Erju saw the flour, millet, and pork in my hands. His eyes went full cartoon, practically popping out of his skull. They hadn't eaten meat in who knows how long. Oh, Lu Qing, you shouldn't have. Chief Lu started the polite refusal. Dad, shut up, Erju interrupted. The man brought gifts. We say thank you. Chief Lu glared at his son. His son glared at the pork. The pork won. Then I made my move. Chief Lu, actually, there's something I wanted to discuss. I need land. I want to build a brick factory and a new house. Could you assign me a plot in the village? Land in ancient China is serious business. You can't just claim a spot. You need official village approval and documentation. Normally, getting the village chief to hand over prime real estate requires weeks of negotiation, favors, and probably a few goats. But I just walked in with food while his family was staring at weed soup. Timing is everything. Land. Pick wherever you want in the whole village. I'll write the papers myself. Boom. 5 minutes and a bag of flour bought me unlimited real estate rights in Monglong Village. Best business deal since I negotiated with that pharmacy shopkeeper. We left. Xionyang walked beside me in silence for about 10 steps. Then, you gave him the food so he'd give you the land, didn't you? This woman is sharp. beautiful and perceptive. I married well. Guilty as charged. Normally, he'd deliberate for weeks. But when someone's starving and you show up with pork, the phrase is, it's hard to refuse when your mouth is full. He was going to say yes to anything. Husband, you're terrifying. Thank you. So what's this brick factory thing? I'm going to make actual bricks. Not mud walls that collapse when someone sneezes. Real bricks. Then I'm building us a proper house. With a bathroom. A bathroom? Inside the house? Inside the house. Her brain was visibly struggling to process this information. Indoor bathing was apparently science fiction in this timeline. How much will all this cost, though? She started doing anxiety math. How much do you think we have? 15 taels of silver, she said confidently. 25 from the first ginseng, minus 10 for shopping, equals 15. Thank God you hid it somewhere Sun Magong couldn't find it. 15 taels. That's what she thought our total wealth was. She didn't know about today's pharmacy trip. She didn't know about the 3 ginseng roots. She didn't know about the 100 taels currently strapped to my body underneath my clothes. Our actual net worth, 115 taels of silver. I decided not to correct her. Not yet. Uncle Wu's lesson echoed in my head. Don't flash your wealth. If my own wife doesn't know how rich we are, nobody else will either. The safest vault isn't a lockbox, it's ignorance. So I just smiled. Don't worry about the money. I've got it covered. She looked at me with that expression she gets. Half trusting, half terrified. Fully in love with a man she doesn't fully understand. And honestly, I barely understand myself anymore. A week ago, I was a time-displaced nobody eating wild vegetables in a collapsing hut. Now I'm a 4-wife, 100-tael, land-owning, ginseng hustling, brick factory planning, booby trap building, thumb-breaking village mogul. And tomorrow? Brick factory. Because in the Qing Empire, we don't stop. We don't slow down. We turn 35 copper coins into an industrial revolution. Let's go. Actually, we have 115 taels of silver. I made another 100 today. Xionyang's pupils dilated so hard, I thought her eyes were going to pop out and roll across the floor. What? Yep. Sold 3 more ginseng roots. Husband, am I dreaming again? I flicked her forehead. You're awake. Stop asking that every time something good happens. 100 taels. I couldn't spend that in my entire life, sweet girl. I'm going to burn through that in like 2 weeks. But let's not crush her dreams just yet. We got home and Xionyang was beaming. The other 3 immediately noticed. What happened? Why are you so happy? Yulan demanded. Not telling, Xionyang said, doing a little mystery act. Yulan and Sui attacked her from both sides, going straight for the ticklish spots. Xionyang lasted approximately 4 seconds. Okay, stop. We have 100 taels of silver. The room flatlined. 3 women standing absolutely frozen, mouths hanging open, staring at me like I'd just announced I was secretly the emperor. Husband, is this true? Sui whispered. Yes, I said in English by accident. What? They all looked terrified. Apparently, yes, sounds like a Chinese word meaning, choke to death. Great. My first English word in this dynasty, and it sounds like a death threat. I mean, yes. Correct. True. We're rich. Sui covered her mouth. We'll never go hungry again. Chuanhua's eyes were wobbling with tears. The girl who'd never eaten a white flour bun until yesterday was now standing in a house with 100 taels of silver. Her brain was experiencing a system error. Not only will you never go hungry, you're going to eat so well that you'll all get nice and round and give me big healthy babies. The Liu family tree needs branches, ladies, for women blushing simultaneously. New personal record. Next morning, after Xionyang served me breakfast like clockwork, having 4 wives means your domestic operations run smoother than a Fortune 500 company. I pulled out the silver and divided it into 4 equal piles. 25 taels each. Take it. Dead silence. Then panic. Absolutely not. Sui waved her hands. Women don't handle money. If people find out, they'll say we're improper, Chunhua added. Society says women can't hold wealth. It's scandalous, Yulan chimed in. The patriarchy has these women so trained that they're literally refusing free money. They're turning down 25 taels of silver because some dead guy 1,000 years ago decided women shouldn't have wallets. This society is broken. I don't care about those rules. Take the money. What if you need something when I'm not around? Xionyang tried one more dodge. We'd just ask you. And if I'm on a mountain, or traveling, or dead, that shut everyone up real quick. The D word has weight around here. Sun Magong taught us something important. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If I carry everything and get robbed, we lose everything. But if each of you has 25 tails hidden somewhere, nobody can wipe us out in one move. Financial diversification, risk management, portfolio distribution. I was teaching these women modern investment strategy disguised as common sense. They finally accepted. For women, each clutching 25 taels of silver, looking like they were holding live grenades. Now, new assignments. No more vegetable digging. From today, your job is cooking. Cooking? For who? How much does husband eat? Not for me. I'm opening a brick factory. Workers need food. I'm paying 1 copper coin per day plus 2 meals, lunch and dinner. Your job is making sure everyone eats well. Full stomachs, no skimping. Chunyang nodded. Yes, husband. I pinched her cheek, and then Yulan's for good measure, because favoritism breeds rebellion, and headed for the mountain to check my hunting traps. 2 hours later, I came strolling back into the village carrying 3 rabbits and 2 wild chickens slung over my shoulder like I was returning from the world's most casual safari. The village lost it. Is that Liu Qing? The scholar has game. He was up there for 2 hours. Our best hunters don't catch that much in a whole day. People were staring at me like I'd walked out of the forest with a dragon on a leash. 3 rabbits and 2 chickens in under 2 hours, while their experienced hunters come back empty-handed after an entire day. The gap in technique was embarrassing. Some villagers stopped me. Liu Qing, what's your secret? Traps. Lots of them. We set traps too. They never work. Maybe I set more of them, I said, smiling politely. What I didn't say, setting traps isn't about quantity, it's about placement. You need to read animal tracks, study movement patterns, identify high traffic routes, check wind direction, analyze food sources nearby. These guys were putting random traps in random spots and wondering why nothing walked into them. That's like putting a mousetrap in the middle of a highway and being surprised when no mouse shows up. But I kept it vague. Uncle Wu's lesson, don't reveal your methods. The most interesting development was the village gossip shifting. People were connecting dots. First the ginseng money, then the hunting skills. Everything changed when he married Han Xionyang. Wait, what if she's not a husband killer? What if she's a husband booster? Oh my God. What if the curse is actually a blessing? The exact same villagers who wanted to exile Xionyang 3 days ago were now theorizing that she was a good luck charm. The same woman, the same reputation. But now her husband had money and meat. So clearly, she must be magical in the other direction. I swear, public opinion in this village changes direction faster than wind. Put a chicken leg in people's hands, and suddenly the cursed witch becomes the lucky goddess. Welcome to Monglong Village, where superstition runs on a profit and loss basis. I walked back into the village carrying dead animals and casually dropped a bombshell. I'm opening a brick factory. Need 30 workers. 1 copper coin per day, 2 meals included. The meals look like this. I held up my rabbits and chickens. You'd think I just announced free gold was falling from the sky. The entire village swarmed me. These people had been surviving on wild vegetables and sadness for years, and I just offered them money plus meat. It was like throwing a steak into a wolf den. Pick me, Liu Qing. We grew up together. I'm the strongest. Choose me. I can work harder than anyone. I was being mobbed. Physically surrounded by desperate villagers grabbing at my sleeves like I was a rock star, and they wanted autographs. Except instead of autographs, they wanted chicken legs. Auntie Zhang bulldozed through the crowd like a tiny tank. Don't you dare forget Wu He and Wu Hai. Already on the list, Auntie. I pulled Wu He aside. Congratulations. You're now the foreman of the construction team. Pick 30 workers. The crowd instantly redirected from me to Wu He like a school of piranhas changing targets. Wu He's face went from proud to terrified in about half a second as 40 people started screaming at him instead. I exhaled. Finally, let someone else deal with the hiring chaos. Wu Hai looked at me with puppy eyes. What about me? You. Special assignment. Translation. Wu Hai became my personal bodyguard/assistant. Everywhere I went, he went. Into the mountains for ginseng? Wu Hai. In a town for supplies? Wu Hai. Sun Magong lurking in the bushes somewhere waiting for revenge. Wu Hai would handle it. The kid was basically my shadow with muscles. Wu He picked 30 strong workers. The rejects walked away looking like they'd been told Christmas was canceled. But I had plans for them too. Patience, friends. Patience. 10 days later, brick factory, complete. I inspected the site. No heavy equipment. No modern tools. No concrete mixers or forklifts. Just 30 guys with their bare hands, some basic tools, and the motivation that comes from actual meals. And they crushed it. Built the whole facility in 10 days. What's next, boss? Wu He asked, and behind him, 30 workers stared at me with the desperate energy of employees who absolutely do not want to be laid off. These guys had been eating meat twice a day for 10 days straight. Going back to weed soup was basically a death sentence for their taste buds. Next phase, brick production. I need 40 more workers. Can my wife come? Taiju practically levitated with excitement. She's strong. She can do anything. Women can help with lighter work, firewood gathering, kiln maintenance. Heavy stuff stays with the men. Then I turned to the original 30. You guys, take a few days off. Their faces collapsed like I just told them their dog died. But we can make bricks too. We don't want days off. We want meat. Relax. I have other work for you soon. Trust me. Tian Erwang stepped up. If Boss Lu says wait, we wait. And Tinia backed him up. Thank God for people who understand chain of command. The rejected crowd from round one erupted when they heard about 40 new positions. They flooded my front door like Black Friday shoppers. My 4 wives stood in the doorway looking absolutely terrified at the human tsunami. Wuhai picked the new 40. I organized them into 4 teams of 10, each with specific roles: brick molding, kiln firing, firewood collecting, brick hauling, rotating every 3 days so nobody got stuck with the worst job permanently. Fair distribution of suffering. Very democratic. Very modern. Very confusing for people who'd never heard of shift rotation before. Next morning, Monglong Village Green Brick Factory officially opened for business. 70 people in this village now worked for me in some capacity. In a village of maybe a couple hundred total residents. I was the largest employer in town. The brick factory was essentially the village's first corporation, and I was the CEO, CFO, COO, and HR department all rolled into one skinny scholar's body. 2 weeks ago, couldn't feed myself. Today, feeding 70 families and industrializing a feudal village. The villagers who called Xionyang a curse were now fighting each other for spots in MY Factory. The same people who said I was too stupid to survive were now calling me Boss Lu. The same village that planned my funeral is now entirely dependent on my payroll. Funny how that works. Funny how a little meat, a little money, and a lot of strategy turns a dead man walking into the most powerful person in town. And we haven't even made the first brick yet. Let's cook. The bricks started coming out of the kiln beautifully. Green bricks, solid and clean. My first factory was officially in production. I'm basically an industrial revolution happening in one guy's body. Then Xionyang pulled me aside with her. I have bad news, but I'm too polite to say it directly, face. Husband. The workers are eating. A lot. Translation. 40 grown men doing heavy labor were consuming food like a swarm of human locusts, and my hunting supply was drying up faster than a puddle in summer. She was right. I noticed it too. Wu Hai and I had been trapping so aggressively that we'd basically terrorized every rabbit and chicken within 5 miles. The surviving animals had collectively decided, screw this neighborhood, and migrated deep into the dangerous part of the mountain where bears and wolves lived. Smart animals. Terrible for my meal plan. The shallow forest is empty. Wu Hai reported with the face of a man delivering a funeral notice. Everything moved to the deep woods. The deep woods meant predators. Big ones. Going in there without proper preparation was basically volunteering to become someone else's lunch. Not ready for that yet. So what do we do? Wu Hai asked, genuinely stressed. 40 workers eating 2 meals a day was no joke. I looked at him. Then I looked at the river. If the land won't feed us, the water will. Fishing? Boss, we'd need to catch like 100 fish. You can't do that with a spear. Who said anything about a spear? I grabbed the fishing net my wives had been weaving for days. Wu Hai picked it up and stared at it like an alien artifact. It looks like a giant spider web. It is a giant spider web. For fish, we hiked east for about 10 miles to Liang River, a solid waterway flowing down from the Luliang Mountains. I scouted the riverbank until I found exactly what I wanted. A natural pool branching off the main current. Still water. Deep. Perfect fish habitat. Then I started making bait. Eggs. Flour. Chicken bits. mixed together with water into a paste that smelled so good Wu Hai started drooling. Boss, can I eat some of that? It's fish food, but it smells better than anything I've ever. It's fish food. I tasted a bit to check the consistency. Perfect. Then I had Wu Hai toss handfuls into the pool. At first, nothing. Calm water. Silence. Wu Hai looked at me like I'd lost it. Then the water started boiling. Not literally, but ripples everywhere. Splashing. Fins breaking the surface. Dozens of fish, then hundreds, swarming toward the bait like it was Black Friday at the fish grocery store. I waited. Watched. Timed it. Now. I launched the net. It spread perfectly over the feeding frenzy, sank, and when we pulled it back, dozens of fat fish thrashing around inside. Wu Hai's jaw was somewhere near his ankles. That many? In one throw? This kid had spent his entire life watching people poke at rivers with pointy sticks, catching maybe 1 or 2 fish per hour. I just netted 50 in 30 seconds. His entire worldview on fishing was having a system update. I strung the fish up, then set a passive trap, stuffed the net with chicken guts and pork intestine, sank it in the pool like a permanent fish buffet, and tied it to a stake on shore. We'll come back in 2 days. The net will catch fish on autopilot while we're gone. Wu Hai stared at the river, then at me, then back at the river. Boss, are you from the future or something? Huh? Ha ha. Ha ha. If only you knew, buddy. We walked back into the village carrying a mountain of fish, and the reaction was instant. Is that all fish? How? In half a day, Lu Qing can hunt and fish? What can't this man do? Auntie Zhang was counting the fish with her mouth hanging open. There's dozens. In half a day? With what? Magic. The village gossip machine was now fully running. The Han Xionyang is actually a blessing narrative. Same woman, same face, same reputation, but now her husband was pulling fish out of rivers like a wizard, so clearly she must be lucky. The superstition economy had officially flipped bullish on my wife. I handed the fish over to Zhang and my wives for cleaning. Tonight, fish soup for everyone. When the workers sat down for dinner and smelled fresh fish soup, the morale hit critical mass. These people had been eating wild vegetables their whole lives. First I gave them rabbit and chicken. Now fish. They were experiencing protein for the first time in their adult lives, and their bodies didn't know what to do with all the nutrition. Working for Lu Qing is the best thing that ever happened to me, one guy announced to nobody in particular, staring into his fish soup like it contained the meaning of life. At home I eat grass. Here I eat like an emperor. Am I dreaming? Taiju came barreling over. Boss, you said you'd hire more people. When? This man had been eating wild vegetables at home while watching his coworkers come back from my place smelling like grilled meat. He was suffering. Tomorrow, I'm starting construction on my house. The original 30 from the building crew, you're back on duty. Nicest. Taiju pumped his fist like he'd won the lottery. Boss Lu is the greatest, Tian Erwang shouted. So now I had 40 people making bricks, 30 people building my house, Wu Hai's fishing and hunting squad catching food full-time, and my 4 wives running a military-grade kitchen operation feeding everyone twice a day. I'd created an entire economy. In a village. In 2 weeks. The fishing was now delegated to Wu Hai and a trusted crew. 1 coin per day, 2 meals, same deal. I was too busy to personally fish anymore because I had an empire to run. When I rolled out the house blueprints, Taiju took one look and his eyes went wide. Lu Qing, how big is this house? Let's just say, it wasn't going to be a hut. The Lu Qing era of living in dirt boxes was over. We were building something that would make every other house in this village look like a pile of sticks. Which, to be fair, they kind of were. The house went up in 1 month. 6 main rooms, side wings, guest rooms, a bathroom, the works. Everyone in the village stood there with their mouths hanging open like they were trying to catch flies. Lu Qing, this house doesn't exist anywhere in the entire Luoyang County, Auntie Zhang gasped. If you'd bought the bricks instead of making them, this would have cost hundreds of taels, someone calculated. And here's the beautiful part, my total cost? Under 10 taels of silver. 100 workers, 1 coin each per day, for a month. 3,000 coins equals 10 strings equals 1 tael. Add food costs and miscellaneous expenses, maybe 10 taels total. 10 taels for a several hundred tael mansion. I am the king of budget construction. HGTV could never. I built a feudal McMansion for the price of a nice dinner in the city. I might wake up at 3 a.m. laughing about how good this deal was. The layout was perfect. Center rooms, guest reception hall, because a man of my status needs a lobby. Left side, guest bedroom and a real bathroom with actual bathing facilities. Right side, the master bedroom, extra spacious, because when you have 4 wives, you need operational space. East wing, kitchen and dining. West wing, storage, including a dedicated parking spot for my wheelbarrow. The Rolls-Royce Phantom deserves a garage. My 4 wives stood in front of the finished house looking like they'd been slapped by a miracle. Taiju sidled up to me. Lu Qing, can we build houses like this too? Absolutely. The brick factory is right there. You just have to buy the bricks. Buy? Like, with money. Tian Erwang smacked him upside the head. What did you think? Lu Qing paid US to build his house. You want your house, you pay for your bricks. That's how business works, you walnut. I made a mental note. Tian Erwang gets it. Promote that man. Life was good. Too good, apparently, because the universe decided I hadn't had enough excitement. Remember Sun Magong? The cockroach who stole my stuff, burned my house, got his wife confiscated, robbed the village chief, and ran away? Well, guess what he'd been up to? He'd run into bandits on the road to Jinchuan County. And instead of getting robbed and dying like a normal person, this absolute parasite managed to join them. He literally failed upward into organized crime. And now he was back, with friends. The bandit's second-in-command was a scarred, bald psychopath named Qian Meng who'd been having a rough quarter. Pickings were slim on the roads, not enough travelers to rob, barely making payroll for his gang of murderers. Sun Magong, ever the helpful little snake, whispered in his ear, I know a village with a rich scholar. He found treasure in the mountains, and his wives are gorgeous. Qian Meng's eyes lit up like a kid in a candy store. Kill the men, take the women. Let's go. They arrived at Monglong village in the dead of night. When they saw my new house, the biggest, most impressive building for miles, Qian Meng grinned. Your boy's loaded. This house costs hundreds of taels. Sun Magong led them straight to my door. My old door, technically his old door. He knew the layout. He knew the locks. Home field advantage, for him. They crept up. Qian Meng slid his blade through the door crack, millimeter by millimeter, lifting the door bolt from inside. Professional technique. These guys had done this before. What they didn't know: 1. I sleep on the floor in the outer room, not the bedroom. Because I'm paranoid. Because Sun Magong exists. 2. I'd installed booby traps weeks ago. Arrow mechanisms. Tripwires. Hidden pit traps in the yard. 3. I am a very light sleeper. I heard the blade scraping against the bolt, and my eyes snapped open. I could see the knife working through the crack in the moonlight. Someone was breaking in. Time slowed down. My brain switched from sleeping peasant to tactical operations mode. I crept silently into the back room, covered Xionyang's mouth before she could scream. Someone's breaking in, I whispered. Her eyes went dinner plate wide. Go to the trap rope. When I say pull, you pull. She nodded, trembling but obedient. I woke Sui, Yulan, and Chunhua. No panic. Calm, clear orders. Sui, jump out the window. Run to Uncle Wu's house. Get help. Yulan and Chunhua, jump out and scream for help through the village. Go. 3 women. 3 missions. No hesitation. Sun Magong thought he was coming back for revenge against a helpless scholar and 4 defenseless women. He was about to discover that this helpless scholar had turned his house into a kill box and his wives into a coordinated emergency response team. Come on in, boys. The welcome mat is loaded. What about you, husband? Chunhua looked at me with terror in her eyes. I'll stay and handle it. That's dangerous. Babe, I've got booby traps, a dagger, and the element of surprise. They've got Sun Magong. I think I'm the one with the advantage here. Everyone got into position. Xionyang gripped the trap rope like her life depended on it, because it literally did. The other 3 climbed onto stools by the window, ready to jump. I tucked my dagger into my sleeve and crept back to the outer room. Through the door crack, I could hear them. Hurry up, Sun Magong. Almost there, second boss, second boss. So there was a ranking system. Cool. I was about to give him a demotion. To dead. The bolt clicked open. Moonlight flooded in. Sun Magong pushed the door and saw my bedroll on the floor, the blankets bunched up to look like someone sleeping. He grinned. That was the last grin of his career. I exploded from the side like a spring-loaded nightmare. Before his brain could even send a danger Signal, my dagger was in his side. I twisted and shoved him backward through the doorway. Aag, Sun Magong hit the ground screaming, blood pouring everywhere. That was for burning my house, and stealing my wheelbarrow, and threatening my wives, and existing. The scarred bald guy, Qian Mang, the bandit second in command, saw his guide spurting blood and immediately went berserk. He charged through the door, swinging a massive sword like a blender on legs. Pull, I screamed. Xionyang yanked the rope. Whoosh, 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 3 arrows fired from the wall mechanism directly at the doorway. Qian Mang, trained fighter, apparently, dodged them all with some kind of action movie sidestep. But the lackey behind him, not so athletic, took an arrow right to the chest. Dead before he hit the floor. 2 down. But the worst one was still standing. Clever boy, Qian Mang growled, studying me with new respect. Sun Magong said you were just a scholar. You're not a normal scholar. Thanks. You're Qian Mang, Green Dragon Mountain, second boss. Nice to meet you. You've heard of me? Nope. Never. Don't care. Go, I shouted. Behind me, 3 women crashed through the window and started screaming bloody murder across the village. Help! Bandits! Help! Qian Mang's face darkened. He knew the math. 3 people left on his side, the entire village about to wake up. Clock was ticking. I'll kill you first, he lunged. His sword came down like a guillotine. I dodged backward. He stabbed forward. I dodged again. This guy was fast, way faster than Sun Magong, way more dangerous. A professional killer versus a scholar in pajamas. Not great odds. But I had one thing he didn't expect. I whipped my left hand forward and threw a fistful of flour directly into his eyes. What the? Total blindout. The legendary bandit second in command, feared across the entire Luoyang region, defeated by baking ingredients. Nobody writes songs about being taken out by wheat dust, buddy. The instant his eyes closed, I closed the gap. 1 step. 1 slash. Across the throat. Clean. Blood sprayed. He dropped. Done. The remaining 2 bandits standing outside watched their invincible boss crumple to the ground with his throat opened by a 5'0" scholar covered in flour and blood, and their survival instincts kicked in simultaneously. Run. They didn't make it 3 steps. Wu He and Wu Hai came flying out of the darkness with their brand new knives, the ones I'd bought them, and tackled both bandits like linebackers. Those knives just paid for themselves about 1,000 times over. Xionyang emerged from the bedroom, saw 3 dead bodies and my face painted red with blood, and went completely white. I'm fine, I said, smiling like a psychopath. Because apparently killing 3 people in under 2 minutes doesn't even faze me anymore. What has this dynasty done to me? Uncle Wu arrived and surveyed the scene. He looked at the arrow victim, not impressed. Traps are traps. Then he looked at Qian Mang's body and went completely silent. The throat cut was surgical. 1 motion. No hesitation. No sawing. A clean, decisive kill that even a seasoned soldier would struggle to execute under pressure. He stared at me with brand new eyes. This wasn't the work of a terrified scholar getting lucky. This was the work of someone who had done this before. Someone trained. Someone dangerous. I could practically see the gears turning in his head. Who the hell is this kid? He didn't ask. Smart man. Outside, Sun Magong was lying in a pool of his own blood, coughing and gurgling. My stab wound had been thorough. He's not going to make it, Uncle Wu said, checking him. Shame, I said, with exactly 0 shame. Wu He looked down at the dying cockroach. He brought bandits to attack his own village. He deserves worse. Sun Magong stopped moving shortly after. And just like that, the man who'd haunted me since day 1, who stole my things, burned my house, tried to exile my wife, and came back with literal murderers, was gone. Permanently. 3 bandit bodies in my courtyard, including Qian Mang, the infamous second-in-command of Green Dragon Mountain, wanted by the government, feared across the region, killed by a scholar with flour. Wu Hai was practically vibrating with excitement. Boss, you just killed Qian Mang. The actual Qian Mang. That guy was a trained fighter. Nobody's going to call you a weak bookworm ever again. You're a hero. Then some nervous villager ruined the party. Wait, if we killed their second-in-command, won't the Green Dragon bandits come for revenge? A few people started panicking. Classic village mentality. Uncle Wu shut it down immediately. Are you stupid? Do you think bandits care whether you've offended them or not? They rob and kill everyone. At least now we've got 1 less of them to worry about. The man had a point. Bandits don't need a reason to attack you. They attack you because you exist and you have things they want. Killing Qian Mang didn't create a problem, it reduced one. So let's tally up tonight's results. Sun Magong, dead. Finally, permanently. Qian Mang, dead. Throat slashed by flower-enhanced combat. Random Bandit 1, dead. Arrow Trap. Technology wins. Random Bandits 2 and 3, captured. Courtesy of the Wu brothers and their fancy new knives. My family, completely unharmed. My reputation, upgraded from village businessman to don't mess with that guy. Uncle Wu's assessment of me, recalculated from clever kid to what the actual hell. Who says scholars are useless? This scholar just single-handedly defended his home, killed a wanted criminal with kitchen supplies, and didn't even lose a night's sleep over it. Well, maybe a little sleep, but that's what 4 wives and a good mattress are for. Uncle Wu shut down the panic party with one sentence. Bandits want to kill us whether we offend them or not. Would you rather die fighting or die begging? Everyone went quiet. Hard to argue with a veteran who left his leg on a battlefield. Chief Lu showed up, surveyed my courtyard full of dead people, and gave me a thumbs up. That's the spirit of Monglong Village. This man let Sun Magong walk free 24 hours ago, and now he's congratulating me for killing the consequences of that decision. Chief Lu is the king of learning lessons the hard way. Next morning, we loaded the bodies onto my wheelbarrow. Yes, the Rolls-Royce Phantom was now serving as a hearse, and rolled into Luliang County to collect our rewards. The government guards took one look at the bodies and nearly soiled themselves. That's Qian Mang. The Qian Mang? His wanted poster is still on the city gate. Turns out I'd killed a celebrity. A villain celebrity, but still. This guy was so famous that his face was literally on the wall. And I'd ended his career with a handful of flour and a sleeve dagger. The guards kept looking at our scruffy village crew like we'd just told them we defeated a dragon with a broom. The bounty, 30 taels for Qian Mang, 5 taels per regular bandit. 3 bodies plus 2 live captures. Grand total, 50 taels of silver. 50 taels. For 1 night of home defense. My house literally made money by getting attacked. I should put up a sign. Bandits welcome. Entry fee, your life. Cash collected upon delivery to authorities. Chief Lu handed me 40 taels, gave Uncle Wu's family 10 for the captures. I immediately gave everyone who came a tael each, because loyalty is expensive but worth every coin. Then I took the whole crew to the best restaurant in town. Uncle Wu tried to refuse the money. Chief Lu tried to refuse the money. Everyone tried to refuse the money. Nobody succeeded. I'm getting really good at force-feeding people silver. On the way out, I also hired a carpenter to make doors and windows for my new house. Oh, and I bought a sheep. Boss, what's the sheep for? Tianer Wang asked. You'll see, I love being mysterious. It costs nothing and buys infinite respect. Back in the village, the gossip machine was running at full capacity. 50 taels just for killing bandits. Lu Qing is the luckiest man alive. Auntie Zhang cornered Meng Xiaowan, the girl who rejected me for that other scholar. Regretting it now, Xiaowan turned on her heel and walked away. But I saw her eyes. Those were the eyes of a woman watching a stock she sold at rock bottom hit an all-time high. She chose the safe bet scholar who was going to maybe become a minor official someday. Instead, she could have been wife number 1 to the guy who's now the richest man in the village, kills bandits for breakfast, and has a house bigger than anything in the county. Sorry, Xiaowan. This train has left the station. And it's full. For wives full. No vacancies. After everyone left, I kept Uncle Wu's family behind for a private meeting. Uncle Wu, what do you know about Green Dragon Mountain? He looked at me carefully. About 50 men. The big boss and Qian Mang were sworn brothers. Why? Because I killed his sworn brother. He's going to come for revenge. And when he does, he won't just come for me. He'll burn the entire village. Wu he offered the village's standard crisis plan. We could just hide in the forest when they come, and then what? They burn our houses, our crops, our brick factory. We come out of the forest to nothing. We'd be homeless refugees. Again, Wu He and Wu Hai went silent. They hadn't thought that far. So instead of waiting for them to attack us, I want to attack them first. Uncle Wu's eyebrows shot up so high they nearly left his face. You want to attack Green Dragon Mountain? Their fortress? With what army? Even our whole village wouldn't be enough? Wu He jumped in. Dad's right. We can't. Think about it, I said. They'll never expect it. They're sitting up there thinking they're untouchable. Nobody has ever come to them. That's exactly why it'll work. They won't be prepared. Uncle Wu stared at me for a long time. This was the same look he'd given me when he saw Qian Mang's throat wound. The look of a man recalculating everything he thought he knew about someone. I could see it in his eyes. He thought I was crazy, but he also knew I hadn't been wrong yet. Not about the ginseng. Not about the brick factory. Not about the traps. Not about the flower to the face combat maneuver. The weak scholar everyone laughed at was now proposing a preemptive military strike on a bandit fortress. And honestly, even I wasn't sure if I was brave or insane. But here's what I did know. Waiting to be attacked is how villages die. Striking first is how empires are born. I looked at Uncle Wu with ice in my eyes. They have 50 men and a mountain. I have a plan and a sheep. He had absolutely no idea what the sheep was for. Neither did I completely. But it sounded really cool when I said it. I knew Uncle Wu was the key. If he said yes, everyone else would follow. If he said no, this whole plan was dead. He went quiet, thinking, processing. The room was so tense you could hear everyone's heartbeat. Then he looked at me and said the magic words. You have a plan already, don't you? That sentence meant he was iron. Wuhai nearly had a stroke. Father, that's Green Dragon Mountain. Those are real bandits, I smiled. The greatest military strategy isn't brute force. It's outsmarting your enemy. And we have 3 advantages. Uncle Wu's eyes lit up. The old soldier in him was waking up. 1. They don't know Qian Mang is dead yet. We have time. 2. We know them, but they don't know us. We have information. 3. They'll never in a million years expect US to attack them. We have surprise. Uncle Wu nodded slowly. Where did a scholar learn military strategy? Good question. Let's not answer that. Right then, Uncle Wu spun around. Who's there? Come out. Tian Wang and Taiju stumbled out from behind a wall, grinning like kids caught stealing cookies. Hey guys, we figured you were planning some new money-making scheme and wanted in. These 2 idiots thought we were plotting a business venture. They'd snuck over hoping to get in on the next ginseng trip or fishing expedition. Instead, they'd walked into a military conspiracy. Uncle Wu confirmed they hadn't heard anything sensitive, so I decided to recruit them. There is an opportunity. But it's dangerous. Like, death dangerous. Interested? Wang clenched his fist. I'm so broke I can't afford to eat. What's life worth if I'm starving anyway? Same. Taiju pounded his chest. What if I told you we're raiding Green Dragon Mountain? Wang's brave face collapsed. GG Green Dragon Mountain, the bandit fortress, yes. The color drained from both their faces so fast, it was like watching paint get power washed off a wall. 5 seconds ago, they were ready to die for money. Now they were doing the math on what die actually meant. Wuhai stared them down. In or out? Uncle Wu added the pressure. If you're out, that's fine. But you never speak of this. To anyone. Not your wives, not your mothers, not your dogs. Or I'll handle you personally. The temperature dropped about 10 degrees. Long pause. Then Wang nodded. I'm in. Taiju. Me too. 6-man squad assembled. Me, Uncle Wu, Wu He, Wu Hai, Tian Wang, and Taiju. 6 villagers against 50 mountain bandits. The math was terrible. The odds were worse. The plan was still forming. Everyone keep this secret. Not a word. Not even pillow talk. Especially not pillow talk. Wives are information extraction machines, and I say that with love. Everyone nodded. Wu He, Wang, with me tomorrow. We're going mushroom picking. Mushroom picking? Yep. Wang looked at me like I'd just told him the secret weapon against 50 armed bandits was fungi. Which, spoiler alert, it kind of was. We went into the mountain. I started picking very specific mushrooms. Bright red ones. The pretty ones that look like nature's warning signs. Wu He recognized them instantly. Those are poison mushrooms. You can't eat those. Exactly. We don't want edible ones. His face went through about 6 emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, realization, fear, excitement, more fear, then a slow, dawning grin. Now you get it. We spent the entire afternoon harvesting enough poison mushrooms to kill a small army, which was convenient, because we were going to use them on a small army. Nobody picks poison mushrooms because nobody eats them, so the forest was full of them. By evening, we had a massive basket overflowing with nature's deadliest garnish. I brought them home. Xianyang took one look and frowned. Husband, these are all poisonous. Yep. Why? Trust me. I always do. That's what scares me. I had her and the other wives clean the mushrooms and soak them in water. They did it without asking more questions. For women, silently preparing a basket of biological weapons, trusting their husband's judgment completely. Either I've built incredible loyalty or they've just given up trying to understand me. Probably both. Next morning, the carpenter crew arrived from Luliang County to install doors and windows on my mansion. The head carpenter, an old guy who'd been in the business for decades, took one look at the house and his jaw hit the ground. I've been making doors my entire life, and I've never seen a house this impressive. Not even in the city. Whose is this? Mine. Yours. In a village? Yeah, buddy. Welcome to Monglong Village, where a time-traveling scholar builds palaces, runs factories, kills wanted criminals with baking supplies, and is currently stockpiling biological weapons in his kitchen. Just another Tuesday. So here's the plan forming in my head. 50 bandits, one mountain fortress, and a large basket of poison mushrooms soaking in water. Plus a sheep I bought earlier that nobody understands yet. Sun Tzu said the supreme art of war is subduing the enemy without fighting. I say the supreme art of war is subduing the enemy with mushroom soup. They won't see it coming. Literally. Because they'll be too busy being dead. The carpenter old man, Old Zheng, turned out to be a 30-year veteran of woodworking. Perfect. Exactly what I needed. Hey, Old Zheng, could you make me some extra things? I'll pay bonus. I pulled out blueprints I'd drawn the night before. A bunch of small, precise wooden components. Gears, triggers, rails, frames. Old Zheng studied them. His eyes narrowed. Wait, is this a crossbow? For hunting. I need 10 of them. And please keep it between us. Sure thing. Listen, in this dynasty, there's no patent office. There's no intellectual property law. And most importantly, there's no Zhuge Liang. That guy doesn't exist in this timeline. So when I designed a repeating crossbow, a weapon that fires 10 arrows in rapid succession without reloading, I did what any self-respecting time traveler would do. I named it after myself. The Lu Qing crossbow, Zhuge Liang, wherever you aren't, I'm sorry. But also, finders keepers. 3 days later, Old Zheng delivered all the parts. Flawless craftsmanship. Every piece fit like it was laser cut. I handed him a full tael of silver, and his eyes nearly popped out. This is too much for a few small pieces. I love this world sometimes. In my old life, a contractor would charge you triple and deliver late. Here, a master craftsman does perfect work and feels guilty about being paid fairly. Protect this man at all costs. You earned it. And I'll probably need you again. Call me Uncle Zheng. No more of this senior stuff. Relationship upgraded. Strategic asset acquired. Back home, I assembled the first crossbow. Parts clicking together like Lego. Slot the rail in, attach the trigger mechanism, load the arrow magazine, tension the string, and thwip, 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 10 arrows. Rapid fire. All hitting the target within a tight cluster. At 20 to 30 meters, each arrow carried enough force to punch through a person. One man with this weapon could do the work of 5 archers. I built all 10 and brought one to Uncle Wu. Try this. He picked it up, turned it over in his hands, examined every joint and mechanism with his veteran's eye. Then he aimed and fired. Thwip, 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 10 arrows buried in a tree trunk at 10 meters. Uncle Wu stared at the weapon, then at the tree, then at me, then back at the weapon. Where did you learn this? I tinker. You tinker? This is. He was genuinely struggling for words. This man had fought actual wars, stood on actual battlefields, watched friends die from inferior weaponry. And now he was holding something that could have changed the outcome of battles he'd fought years ago. If we'd had these at Nyangzi Pass, his voice cracked. We wouldn't have lost. That hit hard. The battle where he lost his leg. The battle where his friends didn't come home. He was holding a weapon that existed too late to save them. Effective range 50 meters, he reported, snapping back to professional mode. Lethal within 20 to 30. This changes everything. With these, I'd say our odds against Green Dragon Mountain go from impossible to 50%, 50%. From 6 farmers versus 50 bandits. That's not bad. I'll take 50%. That afternoon, everyone gathered in the back mountain for training. Wu He ran crossbow drills while I took Uncle Wu and Wu Hai home for a different kind of preparation. What are we doing? Wu Hai asked. Killing a sheep. Celebration feast? Not exactly. We slaughtered the sheep. Then I had Wu Hai put the entire carcass into a big barrel and pour in all the poison mushroom water my wives had been soaking for days. Wu Hai watched the toxic brown liquid engulf the raw meat, and his brain connected every dot simultaneously. That's the mushroom poison water. And you're putting the sheep in it. If green dragon bandits eat this sheep, what happens? His face went through confusion, realization, horror, and finally, a huge grin. They die. Now you're getting it. He looked at me with an expression I can only describe as terrified admiration, like watching a kitten reveal it's actually a tiger. Remind me to never make you angry, he said quietly. The plan was forming beautifully. Step 1. Poison their food supply. Step 2. Arm our squad with repeating crossbows. Step 3. Attack while they're too sick to fight back. 6 men versus 50, but 50 who are vomiting their intestines out and facing rapid-fire arrow hoses. Those odds. Way better than 50-50. Oh, and Taiju. That lovable idiot told 2 of his friends about the mission. Lu Feng and Tiniu showed up to training like they'd been invited to a party. Taiju told us. We want in. I stared at Taiju. He shrank to about half his normal size. I'm sorry. It slipped out. But only to them. I swear, this man cannot keep a secret for more than 12 hours. If I told him the sky was blue confidentially, the whole village would know by lunch. Fine. You're all in. But if one more person finds out, I'm using the crossbow on you, Taiju. He nodded so hard I thought his head would fly off. Squad updated. 8 men. 10 crossbows. 1 poison sheep. 1 basket of biological warfare mushrooms. And a plan so devious that Sun Tzu himself would say, Bro, that's messed up. The green dragon bandits are up there on their mountain right now, drinking stolen wine, counting stolen money, feeling untouchable. They have no idea that a skinny scholar is down here building repeating crossbows, poisoning livestock, and training a militia. They raided the wrong village. They messed with the wrong bookworm. And they're about to eat the wrong sheep. Night came. I pulled the sheep out of the poison mushroom bath. This animal had been marinating in toxic juice for over a day. It looked like a normal sheep. It smelled like a normal sheep. But inside, every fiber of its meat was basically a biological weapon wrapped in wool. Yulan watched me handle it with rubber glove level caution. Husband, what is this for? Important stuff. She'd stopped asking follow-up questions weeks ago. Smart girl. Next morning, our 8-man strike team rolled out of Monglong village carrying crossbows, the poisoned sheep, and the collective anxiety of people who'd never attacked a bandit fortress before. Taiju was sweating bullets. Boss, are we actually going to see bandits? Hopefully. The plan was simple. Stupidly simple. Walk toward Green Dragon Mountain on the main road, carrying a delicious-looking sheep, and wait for bandits to rob us. Let them take the sheep, then follow them home and watch them eat it. If no bandits showed up today, we'd come back tomorrow. I'd bought multiple sheep for exactly this reason. This wasn't a one-shot plan. It was a guaranteed delivery system. Sooner or later, hungry bandits would see free meat walking down their road. Wu Hai scouted ahead and came running back. Movement up ahead, showtime. I split the team. Uncle Wu took Wu He, Taiju, Tiniu, and Lu Feng to hide in the trees with crossbows as backup. If things went sideways, they'd unleash 10-arrow hellfire. Me, Wu Hai, and Wang walked ahead as bait. 3 helpless travelers carrying a sheep to a wedding. We strolled down the path looking as innocent and terrified as possible, which, for Wang, required 0 acting. The man was genuinely about to pee himself. Halt! A gang of bandits dropped from the hillside. Leading them was a man so ugly he looked like God had assembled his face from spare parts. Fat, cross-eyed, garlic nose, crooked mouth. They called him Mad Dog, Qing, the 3rd boss of Green Dragon Mountain. We're Green Dragon Mountain. Drop everything valuable, or I'll chop you into pieces. I put on my best terrified villager voice. Please, sirs. I'm just going to Jinchuan County to propose marriage. If you take everything, I can't afford a wife. Your wife is my problem now. Maybe I'll marry her myself. Drop the stuff. Put it down, I told Wu Hai and Wang. They set the sheep on the ground. I tossed 30 copper coins in the dirt for good measure. Gotta sell the performance. Then we started backing away. Slowly, making eye contact with Mad Dog the whole time, ready to signal Uncle Wu if any swords started swinging. The bandits watched us retreat. I calculated the distance. 10 meters. 15. 20. Safe enough. Run, I shouted. The three of us turned and bolted like startled deer. Behind us, Mad Dog was cackling. Ha ha ha. Look at them run. Like little rabbits. Yeah, laugh it up, buddy. You just picked up a sheep that's been soaking in enough poison to kill a horse. Enjoy your last meal. We regrouped with Uncle Wu's team behind a ridge. Erwang collapsed against a tree, legs shaking like jelly. I thought I was going to die. My life flashed before my eyes. It was very short and very boring. The plan worked, I said, grinning. Uncle Wu nodded. Now we follow. We tailed the bandits at a safe distance as they proudly carried their stolen sheep back up to Green Dragon Mountain. The fortress came into view, a rough wooden stockade perched on the mountainside, maybe 50 guys total. Third boss is back. Is that a sheep? We haven't had meat in 2 weeks. The rats are all gone. The entire camp went nuts. 50 starving bandits gathering around a single sheep like it was Christmas morning. They were practically drooling on each other. Today we eat, Mad Dog announced like a conquering hero. He'd stolen a sheep from 3 unarmed travelers and was acting like he'd won a war. Big man energy. We found a hidden vantage point. Uncle Wu picked the perfect observation spot because that's what trained soldiers do, and settled in to watch. Enjoy it, boys, I whispered. Last supper. The bandits butchered the sheep and threw the entire thing into pots. Every scrap, every bone. They were too hungry to save any for later. The whole sheep went into the stew at once, which was perfect. Maximum poison distribution. Every single bowl would be lethal. The smell of lamb stew drifted up the mountain. Even from our hiding spot, it smelled incredible. Erwang's stomach growled. Don't even think about it, I warned him. Some bandits started breaking ranks, trying to sneak early bites. Mad Dog stood guard over the pots like a lunch lady from hell, smacking away anyone who reached for a bowl before the boss arrived. The big boss is here. A massive, muscular man emerged from the main hall. Qin Tong, the big boss of Green Dragon Mountain. He looked like he could bench press a horse. Good work, third, he grunted, surveying the feast. Has anyone seen second boss? Someone asked. Probably in Jinchuan spending money at the brothels again, Mad Dog shrugged. Yeah, about that. Your second boss is currently in a shallow grave outside Monglong village with his throat sliced open by a scholar using flower-based combat tactics. But sure, let's go with brothels. Qin Tong grumbled about Qian Meng's lack of discipline. Oh, the irony. He was annoyed at a dead man for being late to a dinner that was about to kill everyone at the table. Big boss. The lamb is ready. 50 hungry bandits. 1 poison sheep. Every bowl served with a side of mushroom-flavored death. I leaned back against my rock, crossed my arms, and smiled. Bon appetit, gentlemen. Well, he was on lookout duty. They're eating. They're all eating. I watched 50 bandits demolish an entire poison sheep in record time. They didn't leave a single bone. They even drank all the broth. These guys hadn't eaten meat in 2 weeks. The rats in their fortress were already extinct because they'd eaten them all. So when a free sheep showed up, they inhaled it like a vacuum cleaner with anger issues. That hit the spot. Mad Dog grinned, patting his belly. Then the grin disappeared. Wait, why is everything covered in bubbles? I see bubbles too. Beautiful ladies, I'm drowning. Help, help, bow before me. I am the big boss of Green Dragon Mountain. The poison mushrooms hit like a freight train of hallucinations. Within minutes, the entire fortress turned into the world's worst music festival. 50 grown men stumbling around seeing things that weren't there, arguing with invisible people, confessing love to trees, and drowning in air. One guy was trying to fight his own shadow. Another was attempting to swim across dry ground. Then, one by one, they started dropping like flies. Collapsing. Twitching. Lights out. Go, I shouted. We charged in. 8 men with repeating crossbows versus 50 men who couldn't tell the difference between reality and a fever dream. I fired my first bolt. Clean headshot. Straight through the forehead. Done. Tina froze beside me, shaking. First kill jitters. They're bandits, I said, cold as ice. They've murdered innocent people. They've kidnapped women. They've burned villages. If we leave even one alive, they come back and kill our families. There is no mercy here. This is war. Look, I know what you're thinking. Lu Qing, isn't it kind of messed up to kill people who can't fight back? And to that I say, these aren't People who can't fight back. These are professional murderers who chose this life. They killed travelers for pocket change. They ate rats when the robbery schedule was slow. They were planning to attack my village, kill the men, and kidnap the women. The only reason they're helpless right now is because I outsmarted them. If our positions were reversed, they wouldn't hesitate for 1 second. Villains die because they talk too much. Heroes die because they're too stupid to finish the job. I am neither a villain nor a hero. I'm a pragmatist with a crossbow and zero tolerance for unfinished business. Uncle Wu backed me up immediately. Lu Qing is right. No mercy. That settled it. Everyone opened fire. I walked up to Qin Tong, the big boss himself. He was lying on the ground, half conscious, foam at his mouth, eyes struggling to focus. You? He croaked. Green Dragon Mountain? Really? That name SCREAMS, starter dungeon for the protagonist to farm experience points. You never stood a chance. I stepped on his chest and put a bolt between his eyes. 30 minutes. That's all it took. 30 minutes to completely wipe out a bandit fortress that 2 county governments had failed to deal with for years. 8 farmers with homemade crossbows and a poisoned sheep accomplished what professional law enforcement couldn't. The budget for this entire military operation: a few sheep, some mushrooms, and 1 tael in carpentry fees. The Pentagon would weep at my cost efficiency. Wuhai? Take Wang and Tina Yu to the county office. Tell them Green Dragon Mountain is finished. They sprinted to Luliang County. The reception was skeptical. You what? Destroyed Green Dragon Mountain? Get out of here. That's the most ridiculous. We're serious? It's all dead. Every single one. Do you know the penalty for lying to the government? They went back and forth for a while until the head officer, a guy named Chao Song, recognized Wu Hai from when we delivered Qian Mang's body. Hold on. You're the Monglong village guys who killed Qian Mang? Yes. And now we killed the rest of them. Please just come look. Chao Song brought his whole squad up the mountain. The closer they got to the fortress, the more nervous they got. These were government officers who'd been too scared to raid this place themselves. And now they were walking into it because some farmers said, "It's cool. We handled it." They walked through the gates. Saw the bodies. 53 bandits, all dead. The officers' jaws collectively hit the dirt. That's Qin Tong. The big boss. That's Mad Dog Xing. The third boss. They're all dead. Every single one. Chao Song turned to me with an expression somewhere between awe and terror. Just how many of you were there? 8. 8. 8 people destroyed a fortress that your county and Jinchuan County combined couldn't handle. And you're calling it luck? Chao Song wiped sweat off his forehead. The name's Chao Song, head officer of Luliang County. And I very much want to be your friend, smart man. When you meet someone who can wipe out a bandit army with mushrooms and carpentry, you don't make them your enemy. You make them your contact. He asked how he did it. Wu Hai, bless his heart, gave him the full play-by-play. The poisoned sheep, the mushroom water, the fake robbery, the crossbows. Chao Song listened with his mouth slowly falling open as each layer of the plan revealed itself. Every step was planned in advance, he muttered. The bandits never had a chance. Not from the moment they picked up that sheep. It was a death trap disguised as dinner. Just some small tricks, I said modestly. He looked at me, this skinny, polite, well-spoken scholar standing in a field of dead bandits, and I could see him mentally filing me under. Never cross this person. 53 confirmed kills. I'll report everything to the magistrate. You'll receive full credit and reward. The officers collected the heads as proof, buried the bodies on site, and we headed home. 8 men walked into a bandit fortress and walked out without a scratch. Not a single injury on our side. 0 casualties. Clean sweep. Final score, Green Dragon Mountain, eliminated. Bandits killed, 53. Our casualties, 0. Weapons used, 10 homemade crossbows, 1 poisoned sheep. Total investment, maybe 5 taels. Government bounty incoming, probably enormous. My wife's reaction when I get home, probably crying. Village status, officially the most dangerous hamlet in the entire Luliang region. They call me a weak scholar. A bookworm. A man who couldn't tie his own shoes without help. I just erased a bandit army with a cooking recipe. Who says scholars are useless? This scholar just committed the most efficient military operation in the history of the Great Yong Dynasty, and his primary weapon was a sheep. Put that on a wanted poster. We rolled into Luliang County Courthouse like 8 guys who'd just done the impossible. Because we had. The news hit so hard that the county magistrate himself came out to see us. That's like the CEO leaving his corner office because the interns did something newsworthy. Magistrate Feng Jijia walked in, a chubby 40-something in fancy robes, clearly eating better than everyone else in the county, which honestly is the whole point of being a magistrate. So you're the ones who destroyed Green Dragon Mountain. He looked me up and down. Impressive. If everyone were like you, we'd have no bandits in the entire region. Then he dropped the offer. Lu Qing, want a government job? Come work at the courthouse. Uncle Wu and the boys all turned to stare at me like I'd just been handed a winning lottery ticket. A government position. Guaranteed salary. The iron rice bowl. Every peasant's dream. Thank you, sir, but I prefer my freedom. Record scratch. Everyone's jaws hit the floor. Chow Song, the head officer who'd just become my biggest fan, grabbed my sleeve. Lu Qing, do you understand what you're turning down? I'm good. Look, I spent my entire previous life working for other people. Deadlines, bosses, office politics, mandatory fun events. I literally died and got reincarnated into a new world. You think I'm going to spend this life stuck in a government cubicle doing paperwork? I'd rather fight another 50 bandits with a spatula. Government work means endless obligations, political enemies, and zero personal time. I have 4 wives, a brick factory, a mansion, and a growing empire. Why would I trade being a boss for being an employee? Magistrate Feng took it well. Can't force a free spirit. Classy guy. Then came the good part. The bounties. Chen Tong, big boss, 100 taels. Mad Dog Xing, third boss, 30 taels. 51 regular bandits at 5 taels each, 260 taels. Plus a 10-tael bonus for exceptional service. Grand total, 400 taels of silver. 400 taels. I had to physically stop myself from doing a victory dance in the courthouse. That would have been undignified. Probably. We found a quiet spot to divide the loot. Uncle Wu spoke first, and he did something that made me respect him even more than I already did. Listen up. Lu Qing planned everything. The poison, the crossbows, the fake robbery, the strategy. We just showed up and shot unconscious people. Without him, we're nothing. With him, we're rich. So here's the split. 15 taels each for us. The rest goes to Lu Qing. Nobody argued. Not even for a second. Taizhu, fair, or Wang. Obviously, Lu Feng, no question. Tiniu, agreed. Wu He and Wu Hai nodded. Uncle Wu was doing me a favor by being the bad guy who proposed the unequal split, so I didn't have to. Veteran move. This man understands leadership dynamics better than most modern executives. 7 guys at 15 taels each, 105 out. That left me with 295 taels. 295 taels. Added to my existing savings, I was now sitting on a fortune that would make most city families jealous. I'd gone from 35 copper coins to being richer than anyone in the entire county in. What a month. 6 weeks? Wu Hai was already buzzing. Boss, what's next? Should we find another bandit fortress? Uncle Wu smacked him upside the head. Are you insane? I was just asking. We ate a celebratory dinner in town, my treat, obviously, and headed home at sunset. The village had apparently been in chaos all day. 8 men disappearing simultaneously with a sheep and weapons tends to generate questions. By the time we got back, the whole village had been searching for us. My 4 wives were waiting at the door, looking like they'd aged 5 years in one day. Where have you been? Making money. Selling the lamb, Yulon guessed. But it was poisoned. I went to Green Dragon Mountain. For women. For identical expressions of pure horror. Like I just told them I went swimming in a volcano. You went where? Why? What if you died? What would we? I destroyed it. Silence. The kind of silence that happens when someone says something so absurd that the human brain needs a full reboot to process it. You? Destroyed. Green Dragon Mountain, the whole thing. All 53 of them. Here's the proof. I opened the bag. Silver cascaded out onto the table like a waterfall of wealth. 295 taels of gleaming, beautiful silver. Chunhua forgot how to breathe. This woman went from being beaten daily by an impotent criminal to staring at more money than her entire ancestral line had ever possessed combined. Her brain was error 404 ing in real time. Sui's eyes were the size of dinner plates. Yulon kept blinking like she was trying to reset her vision. Xionyang, my rock, my ride or die. just stared at me with that look that said, I married either the greatest man alive or the craziest, and at this point I genuinely cannot tell which. This is too dangerous, she said quietly, grabbing my hand. And she was right. It was dangerous. But here's the thing. The danger was coming whether I went looking for it or not. Sun Magong brought bandits to our door. If I hadn't gone to them, they would have come to us. With 53 men instead of 5. The difference between a victim and a victor is who moves first. Current financial status, somewhere north of 400 taels total. In a world where 100 coins makes you wealthy, and most families earn less than a tael per year, I am, by any reasonable measurement, the richest person in the entire Luoyang region who isn't a government official. Not bad for a dead guy from the future with 35 coins and a straw hut. After the whole, destroying a bandit fortress with a sheep thing, life calmed down for about 12 hours. Then Xionyang hit me with a request. Husband, can I visit my parents? Oh, right. We'd been married for a month, and she hadn't gone home once. In this dynasty, the bride is supposed to visit her family after the wedding. I'd completely forgotten because I'd been too busy doing things like building factories, killing wanted criminals, and inventing weapons. Of course, that's totally my bad. We should have gone weeks ago. No, it's not your fault. Stop being so nice about everything. I messed up. We're going tomorrow. Sui was from the same village, Xiaha, so she'd come too. I left Yulan and Chunhua to guard the house. Our booby-trapped, crossbow-equipped, pit-trapped fortress of a house. Those two would be fine. Next morning, we hit Luoyang County for supplies. First time meeting the mother-in-law, you do not show up empty-handed. I went hard. Fabric, grain, pork, the works. Xionyang had to physically restrain me. Enough. The wheelbarrow is full, 2 or 3 taels worth of gifts. For a family that probably earns a few hundred coins a year, this was like Santa Claus showing up in March. The walk to Shaha village took forever. My legs were screaming. We need a horse carriage, I announced. A carriage? Xionyang looked at me like I'd suggested buying the moon. There are barely any in the entire county. You'd have to go to Guang'an Prefecture. They cost dozens of taels. The wheelbarrow isn't cutting it anymore. The wheelbarrow is wonderful. She was defending the wheelbarrow's honor like it was a family member. Which, honestly, in this village it kind of was. We arrived at Shaha village around afternoon. And the instant we appeared at the village entrance, the welcome committee kicked in. Is that the Jinx? She's back. And Sui too. I bet they got divorced. Look at all those bags. Their husband must have returned them with their stuff. Nobody considered that we might be visiting. Their first assumption was, the cursed woman has been rejected and dumped back here to ruin our lives again. These people had decided Xionyang was bad luck and nothing would change their minds. Not evidence. Not logic. Not the fact that she was clearly healthy, well-dressed, and accompanied by a man. Xionyang's face fell. That old pain. The reputation that follows her everywhere like a shadow made of knives. Sorry, husband, she whispered. For what? Did they feed us? Did they help us? Their opinions are worth less than the dirt on my wheelbarrow. Let's go. We reached the Han family house. Xionyang's mother, Mrs. Zheng, was working in the yard. She looked up, saw her daughter, and instead of crying tears of joy like a normal mom in a reunion scene. Why are you here? Did you not get married? Oh God, is it over for us? She literally collapsed onto the ground wailing about the family's doom. No, I missed you. No, how are you? Just, oh the curse is back. This woman's daughter returned home for the first time in a month, and her reaction was panic. Not because she was worried about Xionyang's safety, but because she thought Xionyang had been rejected and the family was about to be destroyed. I'm married. This is my husband. Lu Qing from Monglong village. Mrs. Zheng looked up from her puddle of despair. Really? Yes, really. You're not lying? Why would I lie about being married? Mrs. Zheng's expression went from apocalyptic terror to awkward smile in about 2 seconds. Oh, well, come in. Incredible. 5 seconds ago, she was mourning the end of the family bloodline. Now she's playing hostess. Emotional whiplash champion of the dynasty. We were about to step inside when, stop right there. A woman came charging down the road with half the village trailing behind her like she was leading a parade of negativity. She planted herself in the doorway like a human barricade, arms crossed, eyes blazing, full Karen energy. Who said you could come in? Sister-in-law. Qianyang said weakly. This was Pan Xiaonyang, married to Qianyang's brother, and she was not happy to see us. Sister-in-law? Don't you dare call me that. You're the sister-in-law here, not me. You were supposed to be gone. The government took you away, and we finally had peace. Now you're back? Are you trying to destroy this family completely? Here's the backstory. When Xionyang was single and cursed, her entire family was at risk. If she didn't marry, the government would seize everything: property, freedom, lives. Her brother's wife Pan had been living in terror that Xionyang's curse would drag the whole clan down. So when the government finally took Xionyang away for arranged marriage, Pan celebrated like it was New Year's. Now Xionyang was standing at the door again, and Pan's brain was short-circuiting with rage. I stood there watching this woman scream at my wife in front of 50 villagers, and I took a deep breath. Because this was about to get very interesting. Nobody yells at my wife. Not bandits. Not village bullies. Not even family. Nobody. Sister-in-law Pan was on full attack mode. Machine gun mouth. No pause button. No volume control. Sui tried to defend Xionyang. Sister-in-law. How can you say that? How can I say that? If you two couldn't get married, all of us would have been destroyed. Seized. Men to the army. Women to the barbarians. I was practically dead already, and you want me to be nice about it? Xionyang's brother Baoshan stepped in. That's enough, dear. Pan turned on him like a turret acquiring a new target. You want to start with me, Baoshan? Keep talking, and I'm going back to my mother's house. You can manage this disaster yourself. Baoshan shut his mouth so fast I heard his teeth click. Pan laid down her ultimate ruling. You two were taken away by the government. You are no longer part of the Han family. You cannot come in. She was literally standing in the doorway like a final boss blocking the entrance to a dungeon. A 5'0" woman with the energy of a fortified castle wall. Then Mrs. Zheng, Xionyang's mom, finally found her voice. They're already married. To this man, Lu Qing from Monglong village. They're visiting, not returning. Pan froze mid-rant. Slowly turned to look at me. The guy who'd been standing quietly next to a wheelbarrow full of expensive gifts while a family soap opera exploded around him. You? Hi. Lu Qing. Nice to meet you. You actually married her? And you're not sending her back? Nope. Since marrying Xionyang, everything I touch turns to gold. Best decision I ever made. I said it loud enough for the whole crowd to hear. Xionyang isn't a curse. She's a blessing. Plant that seed. Watch it grow. Pan went silent. Processing. Her entire worldview was built on the assumption that Xionyang was a walking catastrophe. And now some guy was standing here telling her the opposite, with a wheelbarrow of proof behind him. Then she noticed the wheelbarrow. The entire village noticed the wheelbarrow. Rice, flour, pork, chicken, duck, fish, high-quality fabric. An actual wheelbarrow, the Rolls-Royce of rural transportation. The crowd started calculating out loud. That's at least 3 strings of coins. Are you blind? That fabric alone is worth 2 strings. Look at the wheelbarrow. Our whole village doesn't have one. The mood shifted from, look at the cursed woman, to, look at that rich guy. So fast it gave everyone whiplash. Baoshan's spine suddenly appeared. Come in. Your family. Let me get you settled. Pan's transformation was the most spectacular thing I've ever witnessed. This woman went from blocking the doorway like a security guard at an exclusive nightclub to pouring me tea with the enthusiasm of a 5-star hotel concierge. Tea, brother-in-law? What would you like to eat? I'll make it right now. 2 minutes ago, she was trying to ban Xionyang from the property. Now she was waiting on me hand and foot. I briefly wondered if she had a twin who'd swapped in while I wasn't looking. Baoshan coughed gently, trying to signal his wife to dial it down maybe 14 notches. What are you coughing about? This is our family's son-in-law. A successful son-in-law. We should be celebrating. Yes, dear. Of course, dear. Go make food. Dear, Sui jumped up. I'll help, sister-in-law. Off they went. Harmony restored. Amazing what a wheelbarrow full of pork can do for family relations. Xionyang, ever the saint, actually defended her sister-in-law to me. She's not a bad person, husband. She's just blunt. She married into our family and worked hard. She's still wearing the clothes she brought from her own home. It's my fault she became like this. She was terrified that my curse would destroy everyone. I looked at this woman, my wife, who'd just been screamed at by her own family in front of 50 people, and instead of being angry, She was making excuses for them, explaining their perspective, taking the blame. Xionyang's heart is so big it could hold the entire village inside it, and still have room for seconds. It's in the past now, I said, because it was. Mrs. Zheng started the mother-in-law interview. Where are you from? What do you do? Who's in your family? Monglong village. Scholar. Just me. A scholar. Oh, wonderful. If you pass the provincial exam, you'll really be somebody. Sure, ma'am. Scholar. That's my main thing. Let's go with that. No need to mention the brick factory, the bandit killing, the crossbow manufacturing, or the biological warfare program. I'm running out of my kitchen. Xionyang started unpacking gifts. Fabric, grain, meat, everything we'd bought. This is too much, Mrs. Zheng gasped. It wasn't that expensive. Just a few taels of silver. Crash. Baoshan's tea bowl slipped from his hand and shattered on the floor. The man literally couldn't hold a cup after hearing the words, a few taels. In his world, a few taels was generational wealth. The kind of money that changes a family's trajectory forever. And his little sister's husband just casually described it as, not that much. Pan came flying in from the kitchen. What happened? Baoshan, did you break a bowl? Do you know how many bowls we have? It slipped? Slipped? You can't even hold a cup now? She was about to escalate into a full lecture when she remembered I was sitting right there. She swallowed her rage, forced a smile onto her face like she was installing software, and sweetly said, Silly husband, so clumsy. Don't worry about it. The emotional gymnastics this woman performs on a daily basis could qualify for the Olympics. From screaming banshee to perfect hostess in 0.3 seconds. Truly world-class. Baoshan sat there, covered in tea, surrounded by broken pottery, silently blaming Xionyang for making him drop his cup. Welcome to the in-laws, Lu Qing. This is going to be a long visit. Baoshan, Xionyang's brother, was trying to explain why he dropped his tea bowl. It was because of what Xionyang said about the gifts. Pan came in, saw the broken bowl, and started her audit. But then she noticed the fabric Xionyang was holding out to her. Sister-in-law, this is for you. Make yourself a new dress. You've been wearing the same clothes since your wedding day. Pan reached for the fabric, then stopped. Looked at her own hands. Rough, cracked, stained from years of hard labor. Too dirty to touch nice things. Just put it down somewhere. I'll get it later. That moment hit me harder than I expected. This woman had been screaming at us 5 minutes ago, and now she wouldn't touch a gift because she thought her working hands would ruin it. Under all that fire-breathing dragon energy, Pan was just a woman who'd been working herself to the bone in a family that was falling apart around her. Then Xionyang casually mentioned the gift's cost, a few taels of silver. Baoshan had already dropped one bowl. Now his remaining brain cells were short-circuiting. His eyes were doing math he'd never done before. Pan went into financial panic mode. A few TLS? That's too much. Pack everything up. Take it back to Luliang County tomorrow and get a refund. This woman's instinct upon receiving expensive gifts was to return them for store credit. She wasn't being rude. She was genuinely terrified we were spending ourselves into poverty. In her world, a few taels was a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. My husband can make money, Xionyang said calmly. You don't need to worry about us. Pan turned to me with completely new eyes. The calculator behind her eyeballs was running at full speed. Lu Qing, yes? We're family now, right? Yes? Could you maybe take my husband along when you work? I'm not asking for taels. Even a few dozen coins would be amazing. Baoshan wanted to evaporate. You can't just ask him that on the first visit. But honestly, I respected the hustle. This woman assessed the situation, identified an opportunity, and made her pitch within 30 seconds of the financial disclosure. In the modern world, she'd be a venture capitalist. Sure, when there's an opportunity, I'll bring him along. Pan's face lit up like sunrise. Then someone asked how I'd been making money, and I made the mistake of answering honestly. Oh, I destroyed Green Dragon Mountain and collected the bounty. The room died. Not, went quiet, died. Like someone had pressed the mute button on reality. The Green Dragon Mountain? The Bandit Fortress? That's the one. Baoshan's brain was loading at about 2% speed. He looked at my skinny scholar body, then thought about 50 armed bandits, then looked at me again, and simply could not make the math work. Then Xionyang's dad walked in. Old man Han took one look at me and delivered his verdict. A scholar? Can't work the fields. Can't carry heavy things. How will you feed my daughter? In this man's world, the ideal son-in-law looks like a refrigerator with arms. I look like the bookmark inside the refrigerator's instruction manual. Baoshan jumped in fast. Father, he has skills. He can provide without doing farm work. Old man Han grunted skeptically. He'd just been told his daughter married a noodle-armed bookworm, and he was not thrilled. Little did he know this noodle-armed bookworm had a higher body count than most soldiers in the Imperial Army. After dinner, I took Sui to visit her family, while Qianyang stayed behind. The second I was out the door, the women pounced. Now, I wasn't there for this part, but Qianyang told me everything later, and I need you to understand. This is the most embarrassing conversation I've ever been indirectly involved in. Mrs. Zheng and Pan cornered Qianyang like investigators in a crime drama. You've been married a month. Why haven't you? You know. Consummated? Don't mom me. Have you done it or not? We haven't. Is it his problem? Is he broken? Like that Sun Magong situation? No, he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. Then what's your problem? There's nothing wrong with me either. Then why haven't you? Our house had holes in the walls. It was freezing. We've been busy building a new one. Pan leaned in with the intensity of a military strategist. Listen carefully. You need to be proactive. Don't wait for him. Men are simple creatures. Any woman who takes initiative can break any man's willpower. Sister-in-law, I'm serious. Lu Qing is clearly going places. That means more women will come. You need to give him a son first. First wife, first son. That's how you secure your position. In any household, it's not about who's prettiest. It's about who delivers the heir. Pan was dispensing Game of Thrones-level political strategy for the bedroom. This woman had been yelling at us an hour ago and was now coaching Qianyang on reproductive dynasty-building tactics. Mrs. Zheng nodded solemnly. Your sister-in-law is right. You need a baby. Soon. So while I was innocently walking to Sui's family's house, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were back home training my wife in the ancient art of seduction and heir production. I have a feeling tonight is going to be different. God help me. On the way out, I caught father-in-law Han and Baoshan crouching around my wheelbarrow like two mechanics inspecting a sports car at an auto show. The wheel should be wider for stability. No, that makes it too heavy. You'd lose speed. But what about MUD? A narrow wheel sinks. Men are the same in every timeline. Doesn't matter if it's a Ferrari or a wheelbarrow. Put a vehicle in front of two guys, and they'll debate engineering specs until the sun goes down. We said our goodbyes and headed home. The visit was educational. My mother-in-law wants grandchildren. My sister-in-law wants money. My father-in-law thinks I'm a noodle. And somewhere behind me, Qianyang was walking with a suspicious amount of determination in her eyes, courtesy of whatever advice the women had given her while I was gone. I chose not to investigate. We rolled into Monglong village at sunset, and something was immediately wrong. The village entrance was empty. No kids playing. No old people chatting. Dead silent. Like a ghost town. Why is it so quiet? There he is. Lu Qing is back. A tidal wave of villagers came stampeding toward us from every direction. The entire population of Monglong village, men, women, children, possibly livestock, was charging at me like I was the last loaf of bread in a famine. Qianyang literally hid behind me. Husband, it's fine. Probably. They swarmed us. Lu Qing, how could you? You went to kill bandits and didn't invite us? I held you as a baby. You owe me. We grew up together. How could you leave me out? Apparently, the news about Green Dragon Mountain and the 15 tael per person payout had spread through the village like wildfire. Every single person was furious that they hadn't been included in the mission. Nobody cared about the danger. Nobody mentioned the possibility of death. They only saw the money. These same people who were too scared to even discuss bandits a week ago were now angry they didn't get to fight 50 of them. Greed is the world's most effective courage booster. Then Meng Xiaowan, the girl who rejected me for Scholar Wang, pushed to the front. Oh, this was going to be fun. Lu Qing, you're ungrateful. The Meng family helped you survive winter. We gave you wild vegetables. And you don't even include us in your money-making adventures? Lady, your family refused to let you marry me because I was too poor. Now you're mad I didn't bring your dad along to fight bandits? The audacity of this woman could power a steam engine. It was too dangerous. I couldn't guarantee everyone's safety. You're a white-eyed wolf. She was practically foaming. Give us back all the wild vegetables we gave you this winter. Yulan, sweet, gentle Yulan, stepped forward to smooth things over. Don't worry, We've collected plenty of vegetables. We'll return everything. Who are you? I'm talking to Liu Qing. Shut your mouth. You husband-killing woman. The temperature dropped 50 degrees. Meng Xiaowan. My voice came out cold enough to freeze the river. The crowd went silent. What? She looked at me with defiance. She is my wife? So you just insulted the wife of the man who destroyed Green Dragon Mountain. The man who killed Qian Meng with his bare hands. The man who slit Qin Tong's throat. You want to think very carefully about your next words. She faltered. Just a flicker. Then she tried to recover with the only card she had left. I don't care. I'm about to marry Scholar Wang. He's taking the provincial exam this year. I'll be a scholar's wife. That's better than being your anything. Cool. Good luck with that. Now, Uncle Meng. I turned to her father. Your daughter is out here biting people like a rabid dog. That's her mistake. But you letting her off the leash is your mistake. Meng Dahou grabbed Xiaowan by the arm. Enough. Go home. But father, you're embarrassing the family. Leave. He turned to me with the forced smile of a man who knew he'd lost this political battle. Lu Qing, I'm sorry. I didn't raise her well. Please forgive us. She apologizes to Yulan, and we're square. What? Xiaozhuan's head nearly spun off her neck. Apologize to her. You insulted her. An apology is basic manners. Unless you want Scholar Wang to hear that his future bride runs around villages screaming at people like a marketplace lunatic? How do you think that looks for a scholar's reputation? Direct hit. Scholar Wang needed a wife with a spotless image. If word got out that his fiancée was publicly brawling in other villages, that marriage proposal would evaporate faster than morning dew. Sorry, Xiaowan muttered through clenched teeth, then stormed off. Yulan stared at me with wide, glistening eyes. Husband, nobody had ever stood up for her before. Not once in her entire life. She was the skinny, quiet cousin of the cursed woman. She'd spent her whole existence being invisible at best and insulted at worst. And now someone had just made a girl apologize to her. It's nothing, I said. But it wasn't nothing. Not to her. I could see it in her face. Something shifted permanently. This wasn't just gratitude. It was the moment she realized she actually mattered to someone. I turned to the crowd. Everyone, I didn't bring you to Green Dragon Mountain because I wasn't sure we'd survive. I would never risk your lives on a gamble. But I promise, there will be more opportunities to make money. I'll call on every one of you, really? A gentleman's word is his bond. They cheered. They actually cheered. 5 minutes ago, they wanted to lynch me for leaving them out. Now they were celebrating future promises of employment. Managing a village is basically managing a kindergarten with more weapons and fewer naps. And truthfully, of course I needed them. These people were my workforce, my labor pool, my future employees. I had plans, big plans, and every single one of them was going to play a role. I wasn't being generous. I was being strategic, but they didn't need to know that. The crowd finally dispersed after I promised them future money-making opportunities. Managing this village is like herding cats, except the cats all want silver and have zero patience. Meanwhile, in a place I didn't know about yet, my reputation was spreading in ways I really didn't need. Over in Jinshuan County, there was another mountain fortress called Pear Blossom Stronghold, run by someone named Lung Lihua. Now, unlike Green Dragon Mountain, these guys were actually the good bandits. They protected nearby villages instead of robbing them. Think Robin Hood, but with worse fashion sense. A month ago, both county governments had tried to destroy Green Dragon Mountain together and failed. So they'd contacted Pear Blossom Stronghold for a three-way alliance. Help us kill the bad bandits, and you can keep all their stuff. The deal was set. Everyone was ready. Then Pear Blossom sent someone to the government office to finalize details and got hit with, "Oh, Green Dragon Mountain? Already destroyed. Never mind." What? Yeah, some villagers took care of it. Somewhat. Lung Lihua's lieutenant couldn't process this information. That's impossible. 2 counties working together couldn't do it. That's why they came to US. How did villagers? I don't know. That's what they said. Lung Lihua sat there trying to solve this puzzle. Her own stronghold had fought Green Dragon Mountain multiple times and never managed to finish them off. And now some random peasants did it over lunch? The math wasn't math ing. I need to see this for myself. Next day, she rode into Luoyang County and hit up the local restaurant for intel. Because in ancient China, restaurant waiters are basically Google. They know everything. Any big news lately? Oh, huge news. Green Dragon Mountain got wiped out. The road to Jinshuan is safe again. The county officers must be pretty capable. Officers? Huh. It wasn't the government. It was a few villagers from Monglong village. Lung Lihua nearly choked on her food. The story was getting more ridiculous with each retelling. First it was, Luoyang County did it. Now it was, a handful of farmers did it. Next someone was going to tell her a single chicken did it. That can't be real. It is. Everyone knows. Monglong village is famous now. Famous. Great. Exactly what I needed. The quiet village where nobody knows anything is now the talk of 2 counties. So much for Uncle Wu's advice about keeping a low profile. I destroyed a bandit fortress and somehow expected nobody to talk about it. In a world where gossip travels faster than horses. Genius move, Lu Qing. Lung Lihua decided to visit Monglong village personally. If there really was some kind of military genius hiding in a farming village, she wanted to recruit them. Pear Blossom Stronghold was surrounded by enemies. Other bandit groups who wanted them dead for being the good guys. Having someone who could wipe out 50 men with a cooking ingredient would be useful. She showed up at our village with 2 bodyguards, and the first thing they saw was my house. Standing in the middle of Monglong village like a palace surrounded by mud huts. Impossible to miss. Impossible to ignore. That house would cost hundreds of taels. He must have spent all the bounty money on it. They walked up to my property. I was inside, busy building something new, a heated sleeping platform. Basically a brick bed with a fire channel underneath, so in winter you sleep on warm bricks instead of freezing to death on a wooden board. Modern heating technology, medieval edition. Chunyang was explaining it to the other wives. Husband says in winter it'll be warm. Warm? In winter? On a bed. They looked at me like I was inventing magic. Anyone home? A woman's voice called from outside. Chunyang went out with water. Lung Lihua took a drink, then started fishing for information. Beautiful house. Must have cost a fortune. Oh, not really. Chunyang chirped happily. My husband designed it himself. Maybe 20 taels total. Silence. Lung Lihua and her guys stared at Chunyang like she'd just said the house was built by elves. 20 taels. This house? Yes. The neighbors all helped build it, and we make our own bricks. 20 taels? You couldn't build one corner of this house for 20 taels, are you? Okay. They thought my wife was either lying or brain damaged. Because in their world, a house like this costs hundreds of taels minimum. What they didn't know was that I had my own brick factory, my own labor force that I paid in food and pennies, and my own designs. When you control the entire supply chain from raw materials to finished construction, hundreds of taels becomes 20 taels and some chicken soup. But from the outside, yeah, it looked insane. A scholar in a dirt-poor village living in a mansion that shouldn't exist, built with money that doesn't add up, after destroying a bandit army that shouldn't have been destroyable. I was becoming a mystery. And mysteries attract attention. The wrong kind of attention. Tree grows too tall, the wind will blow it down. That's the ancient proverb. And my tree was currently the tallest thing in the entire Luoyang region, waving a giant flag that said, "Come look at me." Fantastic. Chunyang handled the skeptics like a pro. 20 taels? For this house? The bricks alone would cost. We make our own bricks. My husband built a brick factory. Dead silence. The 3 strangers looked at Chunyang, then at the house, then at each other, then back at Chunyang. Their brains were buffering. Your village has its own brick factory? Yep. Not even Luoyang County has a brick factory. Not even Jinshuan County has one. But tiny, middle-of-nowhere Monglong village, population, barely enough to fill a restaurant, has one. Because the local scholar got bored one afternoon and decided to industrialize. Then Uncle Wu and Wu he showed up to deliver hunting spoils. See, after the Green Dragon operation, I'd locked up the crossbows. But Uncle Wu borrowed 2 for hunting because his family was also building a house now and needed to feed workers. Our deal, for every 3 animals caught with my crossbow, he gives me 1. Crossbow rental fees. I'm literally running a weapons leasing program out of a farming village. We work, but for medieval armaments. They dropped off a rabbit and left. The mysterious woman and her crew left too. Now here's the part one didn't know about until much later, and it's wild. After leaving my house, Uncle Wu sent Wu he home alone and circled back into the forest. The woman was waiting for him there. Uncle Wu, my neighbor, the retired soldier with 1 leg, the guy who argues with his wife about vegetable budgets. dropped to one knee, and said, "Thousand Army Battalion Vice Commander Wu Fatsai greets the young lady. Excuse me?" Turns out this random traveler was Lung Lihua, and she wasn't some bandit queen. She was the eldest daughter of the Marquis of the Northern Frontier, as in actual aristocracy. As in, her dad was one of the most powerful military commanders in the entire empire. 5 years ago, Yimin Pass fell to the Dongxiang invaders. Her father, General Leng Qiji, was the defending commander. He took the blame, got arrested. His entire noble household was seized. The family was about to be exiled to the wastelands when someone at court pulled strings to save everyone except the general himself, who was sent away alone. Lung Lihua escaped the wreckage and built Pear Blossom Stronghold, a bandit camp that protects people instead of robbing them. She'd been trying to recruit Uncle Wu for years because, surprise, he wasn't just some retired soldier. He was the vice commander of her father's elite 1,000 Army Battalion, a legendary fighting unit. Uncle Wu wasn't just good at combat. He was a military officer who served under one of the empire's greatest generals. My neighbor, the guy with the vegetable garden, vice commander. This entire time I've been living next door to a special forces veteran and didn't even know his full resume. He told me he served in the army. Yeah, in the same way Einstein did some math. Lung Lihua wanted the full story on Green Dragon Mountain. Uncle Wu told her everything. The poisoned sheep, the mushrooms, the fake robbery, the crossbows, the ambush. She listened with widening eyes. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Bold and meticulous. Then she spotted the crossbow on Uncle Wu's back. She'd been eyeing it since he arrived. "Is that the weapon you mentioned?" Uncle Wu demonstrated. Rapid fire. 10 arrows. 5 seconds. Lung Lihua's jaw dropped. If my father had these at Yinmen Pass, the Dongxiang would never have broken through. She was staring at my invention. Well, Zhuge Liang's invention that I shamelessly renamed, and seeing the weapon that could have changed her family's entire fate, could have saved her father's career, could have prevented her noble house from collapsing into exile and disgrace. And some random scholar in a dirt village had built 10 of them with spare carpentry parts and string. Uncle Wu reassured her that her father would ride again. The empire was weak on military talent. They valued scholars over soldiers, which meant when the next invasion came, and it would come, General Lung would be dragged back into service because there was literally nobody else competent enough. So let me update my situation map. My neighbor is secretly a legendary military officer. A noble woman turned bandit queen just visited my house and is now very interested in me and my inventions. My crossbow design could potentially shift the balance of imperial border warfare. 2 county governments know my name. My village has the only brick factory in the region, and I'm sitting on more silver than most merchants. I came here as a broke scholar who couldn't feed himself. Now I'm accidentally becoming a person of strategic military interest to fallen aristocrats and regional governments. All because I bought a sheep and some mushrooms. The tree really is growing too tall. And the wind. The wind is definitely starting to blow. I should probably build a bigger house, with thicker walls, and more crossbow traps.